south to spring to start a new year. With a new team, new stars, and new expectations. What will be the 2021 version of the St. Louis Cardinals? Where will they find consistency? Who will take that next step? What will be their identity? Who will lead? The Cards are in camp to prepare for a run at their 12th World Championship. We'll have some fun being along for the ride. Baseball is coming up. This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Spring training 2021, and let's go. It's the Washington Nationals and the St. Louis Cardinals from Roger Dean Stadium. And welcome to Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. I'm Dan McLaughlin. That's the Cardinals Hall of Famer, Jimmy Edmonds. And Jimmy, another season is upon us.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? And a new team and a lot of new players. And I think it's going to be interesting also because there's a lot of guys that were kind of in between if Yadi was going to come back and if Waino was going to come back. So a lot of guys gearing up and ready to go.
So Waino is in the fold. Yadi, as you mentioned, is back. And, oh, yeah, they added Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, not so bad. Huh? Not bad.
What does he bring to this team?
He brings everything. He brings everything that Paul Goldschmidt brought last year and then some. You can see the ranks. I mean, amazing. 2015 on, second, first in all these categories in slugging percentage, above 560. He brings solid defense, another leader, and just a huge anchor. And also he brings expectation now to this organization again.
Jack Flaherty. His spring training debut with his teammates. He's on the mound for Mike Shildt, and we have baseball for the first time coming up. Still some questions lingering from last year going into this season with the outfield. Tommy Edman, he wants to be the everyday second baseman, potential leadoff man. And some of those questions in the outfield, well, there's questions in the starting rotation and maybe even the bullpen as well. Dan McLaughlin alongside the Cardinal Hall of Famer Jim Edmonds. It's always exciting, an opening day and the first day of spring training in terms of games being played, so we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, Danny, and you know what? There's always questions. It doesn't matter how full your roster is and how much you think you have everything under control as a manager. Things happen in spring training, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but that's what the competition is all about.
So Jack Flaherty, 9 starts a year ago, record of 4-3. The ERA was near 5. He had one bad start. He went about 3 innings, gave up 9 runs against Milwaukee, and that was the one that inflated the ERA. And with such few games, it was tough to get the ERA back down, but undoubtedly he is the ace of the staff, and Mike Shildt has already said he will be the opening day starter.
Yeah, you see that ERA. That is one of those things that relievers deal with year in and year out. You have that one bad outing, and you can see it can be damaging to the earned run average, and that's basically Jack's kind of MO. Sometimes he is lights out, and sometimes he pitches great for 6 or 7 innings, and maybe we'll have that blow-up inning, but he hasn't had a lot of those. He just runs into a little bit of trouble here and there, and most of the time he's able to pitch out, once in a while not, but he is definitely the ace of this staff right now and the opening day starter.
Tradition with the Cardinals. I was wondering how many guys would be down there in that bullpen. All the starters, all the relievers come together and they watch that starter get loose and get ready. And really a tradition that began with your former teammates, Chris Carpenter, Adam Wainwright, some of those guys.
Yeah, Woody Williams, Matty Moe, a bunch of those guys, Jeff Suppan. Everyone kind of just fed off each other, and I think that that's so great. It just kind of builds character into these teams, and it's nice to see because that started about 2002. If not earlier, and you look at now it's 20 years later and they're still doing the same stuff.
I don't know about you, it's good, even though socially distant, to see fans in the stands at Roger Dean Stadium. About 1,500 patrons, and the first pitch of spring training is a strike to Victor Robles, the center fielder today, coming off a season in which he hit .220.
Tell you what, if I'm one of those fans behind home plate right there, I'm jumping up and down, letting everyone know that I'm at the game today. And hey, everyone, check this out.
There's actual fans in the stands and a few of the scouts as well. There's Michael Gersh, Cardinals GM, in the background as well. And the 1-1 pitch to Robles.
Looks like Murph right there.
Longtime bullpen coach Jeff Murphy is who you're referring to.
Yeah.
1-2 the count on Victor Robles. 2019, he was a Gold Glove finalist. He's got great speed, had 29 stolen bases that year. That was 5th in the National League. He had put on 15 pounds last season. He's dropped that weight. He said he wanted to be more mobile defensively. And here is the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss and a strikeout to start spring for Jack Flaherty. So the Cardinals defense, around the horn we go with O'Neill, Bader, Carlson in the outfield. And a different looking infield. Colton Wong signed as a free agent with the Milwaukee Brewers. So Tommy Edman at second. Nolan Arenado, he is at third. DeYoung at short. Goldschmidt at first. And Yadier Molina is behind the plate. This could be a terrific defensive club.
Yeah, you take a look at that. You don't normally see the first game of the year. Most of the time, all 9 guys aren't healthy or all 8 guys aren't healthy. But you don't really usually see all 8 guys in the first game of the year like this. This is pretty special. Let's just hope they can stay healthy and it stays this way. Normally you break it up with a couple of the middle infielders, first and third baseman going every other day for a while. So it'd be interesting to see how Mike Shildt runs spring training while he throws out a lineup like this today.
Andrew Stevenson at the plate. Nasty breaking pitch there by Jack Flaherty. 1 ball and 1 strike. Flaherty facing a young man that's been very good against right-handed pitching and now looking to play every day. He's been coming off the bench the last couple of years, and their outfield should be very good, anchored by Juan Soto. And that's a look at Davey Martinez lineup today for the Nationals. That pitch in the dirt, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike.
Exactly what we were just talking about. Juan Soto not in the lineup today, not traveling first game of the year. So sometimes managers do it that way, sometimes they do it another way.
Nationals got off to a terrible start last year. They were 12-20 and never regrouped, and that's yanked foul. Tied for 4th in the National League East and well out of the playoff picture on the heels of a championship season that they never really got the chance to enjoy because COVID hit. The ring ceremony was virtual. Their fans never saw the banner raised. 3-2 pitch, and it misses down and in. So 1-out walk.
Let's get the electric umpire in here.
And Danny, spring training it is, but I'm going to give you the Toyota key to the game today. What do you got for me?
I love it, Jimmy. Lay the foundation for 2021. And if you look at this roster, I'm not sure there's a ton of camp battles. Now, it does develop as the next 6 weeks go along, but rotation might be set with Carlos Martinez as a 5th starter, maybe John Gant. You have a battle potentially in left field. Matt Carpenter is not conceded being a bench player. He could be your second baseman. So there's some battles that do develop, and this is where you lay that foundation in spring.
Yeah, and you ask the general managers all of the time, and they'll tell you things have their way of working themselves out. It's not that you want to see it, but sometimes there's injuries, sometimes there's slow starts. And so you'll see these players will just develop into a role on their own. Most of the time, you don't have to make massive decisions on the starting lineup. You just have to make the big decisions. Who are you going to keep at the end with those last couple guys filling in the very end of that roster spot?
1 ball and 1 strike. Trey Turner at the plate. Led all of baseball in hits with 78 a year ago. Also career highs in both OPS plus and on base percentage. Had a very good year.
He can play, he can fly.
They've got some speed in their lineup with Turner, Robles.
That's interesting because Trey Turner was a leadoff hitter. Then he kind of moved to number 2. And today you see him hitting in the 3-hole.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Kept in front by Yadier Molina. Jack Flaherty saying the other day he was very appreciative of how the Cardinals used him last year. He made 9 starts, only 40 1/3 innings. So you had not only being shut down after spring training because of COVID, and then the Cardinals were hit a couple of times, COVID-19, and had shutdowns in the middle of the season, and they really were very easy in trying to ease him back into competition. So By the end of the season, he was fully built up, but they made sure to handle him with kid gloves.
Yeah, and I think everyone did a nice job last year. I know the players weren't excited about it. I know you get frustrated, but you didn't hear anything publicly about complaining. They dealt with it. Everyone dealt with it. I feel like the whole group, top to bottom, and the entire organization handled it pretty well, because, like I said, you really didn't hear a whole lot of negative coming out of that, other than obviously they want to get stuck on the road for 6 or 7 days and throw into mattresses, but that's just what you got dealt, so you dealt with it.
Pretty remarkable they made it into postseason play with what they dealt with a season ago. Stevenson, the runner at first. He's off on the 3-2. That ball lifted into left field, and it'll get down for a base hit in front of Bader. On his way to third base, Stevenson. And a base hit for Trey Turner. Runners at the corners with one down.
Just the pitch that gets away right here, runs to the inside. This ball stays up in the air a long time. This outfield is so big. There's a lot of base hits in that outfield that wouldn't be hits during the season. Guys are playing deeper, a lot of wind always blowing. The wind is always blowing during spring training at this field. It really does make it tough to play the outfield here.
Former Pirate now switch hitting Josh Bell. They've added some thump to the middle of their lineup, and they're hopeful that Bell can get back to the player that had 37 home runs in 2019 with Pittsburgh. Last year, his strikeout rate skyrocketed nearly 30% for Josh Bell.
I like this move. Getting him over there, getting him out of Pittsburgh. I think he's a good player.
Here's a 1-0 pitch.
Amazing to watch guys like this get away from something like that to a team that's expected to play and win, and the atmosphere totally changes. You see what happens to people like myself who guys come to St. Louis, and just the gear just gets kicked up a notch, and hopefully a guy like Josh Bell can reinvent himself, and especially on a team like this.
And the 1-1. Angel Hernandez is in midseason form.
Yeah. Let's not make this game too fast, Angel.
CB Buckner and Lance Barksdale also part of the umpiring crew. And a check on Trey Turner. Count of 2 balls and 1 strike. On deck, Kyle Schwarber, the former Cub.
It's another interesting move. I think is going to be a good move for Washington is Kyle Schwarber. I think he's going to be a good player for them. Off the bench, he's going to help a guy like this, Josh Bell. Someone to feed off of. I mean, I don't know exactly his time in the big leagues, but he's a veteran. He's been in the World Series. He's played hurt. He's done a lot of things. I think he's going to be good for this team.
2-2 the count. And that's lifted down the left field line and out of play.
You could just see Josh Bell's swing is different. He's longer than he used to be, and you can see the swing is starting from the back. He's almost pulling the bat around his body instead of throwing his hands at the ball, and it's kind of what young kids do when the bat's a little too heavy for him. I think he's just trying to be really careful.
Wow.
Doesn't want to swing at breaking balls down the middle. I understand that.
Down the middle.
Right down the middle. Gets fooled, but he does. I think that's one of these things where you see this pitch again. I mean, you can't get any better than that for strike 3.
Start the runner here. That's Turner at first on a 3-2. He's leaning and running. Check swing, and did he go? Out call at second base, but I believe that's ball 4. And if not, it's a double play. And it is indeed ball 4. That's 23 pitches now here in the first inning, and you'd have to think maybe it's just a 1-inning appearance now for Jack Flaherty. Roughly, you know, you're talking about probably 30 pitches in your first time out.
But that's okay. This is okay because he's throwing the ball well. Threw strikes to that hitter. He gave up a hit that maybe wasn't going to be a hit softly to Turner. And then he got a double play.
So indeed it was a check swing, strike, and then strike him out, throw him out. Flip a coin.
Flip a coin.
Look at the Cardinals lineup with Edman, Carpenter, and Goldschmidt. Carpenter will be the designated hitter. Nolan Arenado making his Cardinal debut. DeYoung, Molina, Carlson, O'Neill, and Bader. Get a look at that lineup. That very well could be what you see on opening day. Eric Fetty, 28-year-old, in the mix with Joe Ross and Austin Voth for the 5th starter spot. Davey Martinez said he will be capped at 30 pitches. Switch hitter Tommy Edman, and the first pitch is strike. Oh boy.
I'm just gonna close my eyes until I hear contact, and then I'm gonna look again and see where the ball went. Try to keep from yelling at the TV like a fan.
So John Mozeliak, president of baseball operations, just called me mid-inning. That was a walk, but what is happening is that managers have a opportunity to roll over the inning to keep the pitch counts within reason, and that's exactly what they did there. So technically it was a walk and not a strike him out, throw him out.
Kind of like that.
But they just called the inning, so they get him out of there, protect him. No one was up and throwing, and that's why they did that.
Well, I think that that goes really far in the long run. If you think about what you know about traveling and the entire roster, right? And think about when you have a team.
There's a base hit into left center for Tommy Edman.
Still hitting. This guy can play, can he?
Yes, he can.
So what I was saying was there's a way to look at that at another angle too, is you see this high fastball right here. That's a nice piece of hitting. He's trying to throw the fastball away. He just stays back, just drives the ball the other way. Nothing special. But they take lists of players on the road, and when you run out of pitchers, you're done. So when you all of a sudden get your pitcher in trouble, obviously we're at home today, but now you're rushing guys out there to get him loose, right? And then that guy might only stay out there just to get out of the inning, and then you're warming up another guy, and then he might not be in his first game of the year. So now instead of traveling with 40 guys, 50 guys, you're only traveling with a limited number, and you're just playing the game the way you can, you know, the way you're supposed to play it, and not have to worry about too much other stuff going outside of the situation. So you can a little bit more control for the managers, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
There was also talk that games would only be 5 innings until mid-March, and part of that was social distancing and getting guys in and out, trying to get the pitchers their work. As you well know, Jimmy, position players, it's not going to take nearly as long to be ready for a season as opposed to what you see with pitchers. It's about building up their arm strength and getting ready for the regular season. So managers actually will call each other the night before and say, do you want to play 5? Would you like to play 7? Hey, are you okay with 9? And that's something that is happening throughout spring training in baseball 2021.
Well, I think we could see some games, if that's in the works, where they might shut it down early.
Sure. When
pitch counts and innings get out of control. But the back end of those games are when young players and young pitchers make their mark. And you see a guy like Helsley, guys that come out there, all of a sudden you're like, oh, this guy throws 99. Where'd he come from? Well, that's how those guys make their living, and that's how they get to the big league. So if I was the manager, I don't know how many times I'd like to have a 5-inning game, but I definitely would love to be able to shut it down maybe when things are getting out of control.
Look at the defense of the Nationals with Schwarber in left, Robles in center, Stevenson in right. Hernan Perez played plenty in the NL Central. We've seen him before. He's at third. Trey Turner at short. Castro at second. Josh Bell at first. And Swihart is behind the plate.
A little leaner, Kyle Schwarber. I think he was leaner last year, but we didn't get a chance to see a lot of him.
That pitch taken low by Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie now in year 3 in Cardinal red.
That was quick, wasn't it?
Was. Came over in a trade. He was a free agent to be, and then in that spring training signed the extension. You saw it up close. I did as well, watching Albert Pujols and Scott Rowland. And Scott Rowland is on his way to the Hall of Fame. Albert will be in the Hall of Fame.
You think?
And so you look at the defense that those two provided at the corners night in and night out, it was incredible. And when they're gone, you realize just how good they were. You got two guys that might match that defensively in Goldschmidt and Arenado.
I was going to say this has a chance to rival that, right? And you know, I don't know if you can ever say that there's going to be someone better than Scott Rowland, because I'm thinking that the older generation probably said there's never going to be anyone like Brooks Robinson. But if there's anyone that you're going to watch on TV that you can compare to Scott Rowland if he's as good or better, it's going to be Arenado, hands down. The only guy. He's as athletic, he's as big, he's got a strong arm, he doesn't make mistakes. And oh, by the way, yes, he'll hit you 30 home runs, hit you 280, 290, 300. And then the guy at first base doesn't make any mistakes either.
Take it low, 3-2. Cardinals hit the fewest home runs, and they were in the bottom 5 in slugging percentage last year. And Nolan Arenado averaged 40 homers and 124 driven in between 2015 and 19.
The only thing that's going to be different is our ballpark is definitely bigger, and the ball does not obviously carry like it does in Coors Field. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles that, because he's not a pull hitter. And when we first started playing in the new stadium, listen to this. It's too bad it's not a packed house. So I think that was one of the coolest experiences of my entire career, was my first at bat in spring training. I got a better ovation in spring training than I did ever playing as an Angel.
Is that right?
Yes.
In spring training, better ovation.
Chills. And I was nervous more because of it. And then I thought, oh man, what's going to happen on the opening day? I had to live up to expectations all of a sudden.
Well, what a way to have your first at bat as a Cardinal, to come in with the bases loaded and nobody out.
No, I was saying too about playing in our stadium at home. It's a little bit bigger in the gaps, and Albert did a lot of damage early on with pulling the ball in the air, and so he made it look really small. And then as the season progresses, you start going the other way and you realize, whoa, that's a long way out there in right center field. So interesting to see how Nolan Arenado starts off, especially in the cold weather.
So wild pitch. Tommy Edman scores the first run of spring training, and it's 1-0. Pitch count at 15 for Fedde. And runners at second and third now. Arenado lifts it in the air down the right field line, and it is a foul ball.
Looked like your little pitching wedge right there. Did you see that?
Sure did. Had a little backspin.
A little backspin. A little broken back spin.
Fedde was a candidate to be the 5th starter last season, and it went to Voth. That's just foul. So he was supposed to go to the bullpen, and then Steven Strasburg got hurt. Fedde was back in the rotation. He went 2-4 with an ERA of 4.29. And the Nationals have very good pitching, starting pitching in particular, coming back this year with everybody healthy. The 1-1 pitch. You got Max Scherzer, who's in the final year, the St. Louis native, of his contract. Steven Strasburg coming off of carpal tunnel syndrome and surgery. Patrick Corbin, Joe Ross, who opted out of last year, and he is back this season. And Fedde. The 2-1 pitch. Remember, it was a shoulder injury a season ago for Nolan Arenado, and you'll see that he's kind of almost got the McGwire finish, where he finishes high, and he said to the media the other day that he is 100%, shoulder's not an issue. One thing it didn't affect was his defense.
Guys like that, they just play, and if you get hurt, you just keep playing, and just the way it goes.
And he's punched out on the check swing.
It's a tough crew to work with today, all three of them.
So strikeout of Nolan Arenado, and it brings in Paul DeJong. Cardinals have talked about a point of emphasis this year with Paul DeJong finishing the season like he starts. At times you'll see he tails off, the numbers do. And Mike Shildt said it might be a byproduct of playing so much. Maybe we can get him on his feet a little bit more, off his feet a little bit more, and you could see maybe an Edmundo Sosa or Tommy Edman play a little short.
Well, it's amazing. It's funny you say that because he's got that kind of swing where he stays on the ball really well and he plays every day. But if you see a guy like this start getting pitched in, he gets a little inconscious, and that's a lot of guys do that. But sometimes Paulie will change and he'll start to pull, and when teams see that, they'll start pulling, they'll start pitching him away. The scouting reports are so detailed, and you go day to day, and if they see you trying to pull balls 2 days in a row, they're going to throw the ball outside. And now if they see him hitting the ball up the middle, hitting the ball the other way, and the funny thing is, anytime we talk, that's the first thing he says. Hey, I hit the ball the other way today. That's all he says. But when he starts trying to pull pitches up in the air, that's when teams start pitching him down and away, and that's when you have to start making adjustments. These guys are still so young. They'll start making adjustments faster and faster, and that's just something that you learn over time.
Paul was so excited, he said, to see fans in the stands, which includes, of the 1,500, his dad.
That's awesome.
My dad gets to watch me play in person.
Well, that even goes back here. I mean, we both have kids. Don't get to watch them play some days.
Yeah, we're watching on virtually on YouTube.
My dad flew all the way from Hawaii all the way here to come see the kids and watch Landon play basketball, and he got shut out both games. Too many people in the gym.
Hung that. It's back to Fetty, and they've got the runner hung up, and that's Carpenter between third and home. He's tagged out there, and that allows DeJong to get to second base. So second and third now with 2 down. Little PFP in spring training, huh?
Yep, and our almost key to the game, don't get hurt. When you start to see runners getting in rundowns, smart job by Carp, not trying to do too much.
A nice round of applause for Yadier Molina. Digs in for the first time here in 2021. 2 outs, second and third, and a 1-0 St. Louis lead here in the bottom of the first. It took a while, but the Cardinals finally re-signed both Yadi and Waino towards the end of this offseason. And still a fan favorite. No surprise there.
I was a little worried, weren't you?
Yes and no. I felt eventually that it would come back to St. Louis.
I personally wanted to call Mo and say, hey, you know, the suspense is killing me. Let me know what's going on here.
Well, they took their time, didn't they?
I talked to Yadi a couple times. I talked to Waino a couple times, and I said, how's it going? He said, it's going. Nothing big.
Waino told me he thought there was a 2-week period in which it was pretty serious, that he felt, I may not be coming back. And I'm assuming you have those emotions as a free agent, like Yadi probably had that as well.
Well, I think that you do, because when I talked to Waino, he said teams are calling. And that's an eye-opening experience if you're set trying to come back and you're not getting phone calls from where you want to go. You're all of a sudden thinking, is this real?
Yeah.
Am I going to have to go play in, you know, another city?
2-1, lifted into the gap in right center, but over to make the catch, the speedy Victor Robles. On a wild pitch, Tommy Edman scores, and it's 1-0.
Body of work and what he's been able to do, you know, allows us to rightfully award him the opportunity to be our #1 guy coming out of the gate. I do think Jack pitched well. He also was in a Game 3 elimination game in the playoffs, so we had our guy going in a pivotal game going there. We evaluated last year, but you know, relative to how it boded for Jack this year, it was an evaluation that we appreciate how he went about it, and he grew from it, and now he's got an opportunity to move forward, and he's our guy starting open today.
And buddy Jim Hayes has been all over those Zoom calls and visiting with Mike Shildt and others. Jack also went through arbitration and won that case and said, hey, I don't hold anything. There's no grudge against the team. No big deal. There's a look at the last couple of years for Jack Flaherty. He was approaching 30 pitches. Mentioned the one bad start he had a season ago. And that was about it. Building up arm strength to get better and stronger by the end of the season. The 2-0 pitch. And Schwarber lifts a fly ball into center, and it drops in front of Harrison Bader. Talking with Harrison Bader, Jimmy, the other day, and I brought your name up, and I said, when you talk to Jim Edmonds about defense, Jimmy would play so shallow. You're playing deeper. Do you find a middle ground with that? And Harrison said, I'm just much better, more comfortable coming in on the ball than I am going back. So it's a matter of being just comfortable there. And that's one of those balls there, kind of the gray area. If you're playing very shallow with the wind the way it's working in Jupiter, you might get to that ball too.
Yeah, and you know what, though? I like it because he's honest. And we've seen the only time he's ever really struggled in the outfield is when it's straight back and it's near the wall. Other than that, there's nothing he can't do. And he'll be the first one to admit it. And I didn't have any trouble with that. I wasn't the fastest guy, but I felt like I could get out of the hole and get moving, and I wasn't afraid of the wall. Because in the era that I started, though, you could run full speed into the wall, and it's a chain link fence with some pad. Wasn't like it is today. So a couple of those things weigh really heavy in his game, and one, like I said, the wall is not something to play with anymore, and two, he knows that's a little bit of his weakness. And some of these fields are pretty big too. Like I said, it's a lot farther going back than, say, playing at Old Bush.
Harrison Bader, I think most would agree, if he's going to get a bulk of the playing time in center field, he will be a candidate for a Gold Glove. This team has got really good defense. O'Neill last year won the Gold Glove. Bader in center, Dylan Carlson in right. Talked about the infield, and one of the all-time best behind the plate. So defensively, this should be a very solid club in that regard.
Tell you what, the guy on the mound's no slouch either.
Yep.
And then you got Adam Wainwright.
That's right.
As far as defensive pitchers. So, yeah, I think Harrison Bader definitely has a chance to win the Gold Glove. Not really sure who took it home in center field last year, but last year was a little funky.
Just past DeYoung and into left field, and a base hit for Starlin Castro. Starlin Castro, by the way, is 31, four-time All-Star, and already well over 1,600 hits.
That's been playing for 22 years.
Wow. Led the league in hits in his second season with the Cubs. He had well over 200 that season. Been a good player, good hitter for a long time.
Well, it's funny you said that today earlier when we were talking, and you said, you know how long he's been in the league? And I was like, well, which one? Thinking there's so many Castros that you can't be talking about the one that we see all the time, because he's got to be at least 38. He said he's 31 years old, 31. In the league for 11 years already.
Hernan Perez signed to a minor league deal by the Nationals. Played in 3 games, only 6 plate appearances last year with the Cubs. Can play all over the diamond. As a matter of fact, the only position he hasn't played in the major leagues is catcher. So 2 runners on, and the 1-0 is to the backstop, back to Yadi, and runners will advance to second and third.
That was a changeup right there. It slipped out of his hand. You can see already Jack laboring a little bit, not just because of the hits and that pitch, but the fastball before, his arm slot got a little bit low and he pushed it. And this is what happens when you get a little tired. This is just a changeup that slips out of his hand, I think. Couldn't really tell the grip, but legs go first, arm angle drops, and then all of a sudden you got tired arm and ball starts flying all over the place.
So runners at second and third in the 2-0 pitch. Undrafted free agent back in 2018, Tommy Parsons, a right-handed pitcher, beginning to throw in the Cardinal bullpen. Pitch count at 33 for Jack Flaherty.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the 3-0 pitch by Flaherty. Lifted in the air to center, drops in for a base hit. The game is at least tied. The throw by Bader back into the infield is cut off by Goldschmidt, and we're tied 1-1. On a 3-0 pitch, Hernan Perez ties it up.
It's a good piece of hitting right there. Spring training 3-0 swing.
Download the MLB app to get in-game video highlights, live pitch by pitch, breaking news, player updates, stat leaderboards, and more for your Cardinals and the rest of the league. Cardinals Hall of Famer Jim Edmonds, Dan McLaughlin with you. It is a 1-1 game. And runners at the corners for Blake Swihart. Yan Gomes will be their everyday catcher more than likely. Kurt Suzuki left as a free agent. They also have Wellington Castillo, so a battle for the backup spot for the Nationals this spring. Two balls and no strikes.
See, he's getting frustrated a little bit. He's starting to spin a little bit. Don't forget, this is his first game in game speed situation. Everything changes when you put another team out there and guys in the box. There's no way to replicate any of this during the offseason or even in the first couple weeks of workouts.
That's hit out of play.
It's like that adrenaline level goes up and then it starts to drop really fast.
Opening day this year will start on the road in Cincinnati at the Great American Ballpark, and they're hopeful for 30% capacity at that ballpark for opening day. 3-1 the count. So when you say he's spinning off, I guess that would be a pretty good example of that last pitch.
Well, it's just when everything starts to get tired, the legs start to not work as quickly, and so your body's catching up or trying to slow down, and then your shoulders start to spin sideways. Instead of everything going to the plate, you can see everything starting just to fall off towards the first base side. If I'm the manager, I'm going to get him right here. Pitch count or not, you can see he's uncomfortable and he's frustrated. And I know it's your first outing, but I don't like any time when a guy like this leaves the game frustrated. Because now all of a sudden he just went from having a nice little outing, maybe 9 pitches too late. Now he's really frustrated and thinks the world's caving in on him.
And with that, we'll step aside. Pitching change coming up, and we'll tell you about that change when we return. It's a right-hander, Tommy Parsons, played at Adrian College, Division III, and he was an undrafted free agent. He can throw mid-90s, pretty good changeup, and by all accounts really attacks hitters. In talking with scouts that follow Tommy Parsons, had some starts for Springfield a couple years ago. I think what's interesting about this spring, it's guys like Tommy Parsons and others that did not go to satellite camp, Jimmy. So they're pitching against somebody in the box for the first time in a year.
Time. I thought about that when you said one of the Nationals players only had 6 at-bats last year. It's not like he got go anywhere else really, other than maybe at the satellite camp. And I don't know if you can simulate anything like Major League Baseball action. So yeah, it's definitely different.
Don't see a player pitch in 4 levels in a single season, but Parsons did that first full season as a pro. Started out at low A and then all of a sudden jumped up 3 more levels. And well, he will attack hitters.
I was gonna say, you said it. You're gonna attack hitters. That means you're gonna throw strikes. And if you throw strikes and you have decent stuff and you have some guts, you're going to move up and you're going to get a shot to play in the big leagues. Now, you have to learn and stay here, but at least you're going to get your shot no matter what.
So runners at first and second. Parsons was sent to Springfield, the alternate camp. Not a lot of time. It was very late addition. Brought him back. Baseball America said in the Cardinals system, best control of any pitcher in the organization. And we will see if that translates to potentially what he's hoping for, Major League Baseball. You got to wonder if Mike Maddox has said, gentlemen, look behind you, especially at the corners. Let's get the walks down as much as we can. Don't pick. Let guys put the ball in play, because this defense behind you can be elite, and we'll see that at times this year.
Well, this is kind of, I mean, he's into the game now because sometimes these guys can get ready quicker. But this is what I'm talking about. This is the guys that you see in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. And because he can get ready quicker and probably doesn't need a whole lot of pitches to show, he gets in this game early. But a lot of these guys don't pitch until the 7th, 8th, or 9th. And you want to see these guys, especially, I think, you want to see what they do against this competition, even though as a manager, you know he's going back to AAA. But this right here says, yes, I'm going to see him this year if I need him. It's funny how for spring training for players and how we see it from the outside is so different than really what managers and everyone else see it on the inside, and especially with the younger players. It's a totally different feel.
And Jimmy, this year, you would have to think across the board in Major League Baseball, because of the shortened season, lack of innings, even for Major League guys, pitching will be at a premium this year. And you may have to dip down into your system. There's already some teams that have talked about using a piggyback or 6-man rotation to protect some of the pitching coming back this year. Certainly you're going to see that in the minor leagues.
And it's tough because you really don't know, even though you think you have guys that are workhorses, you don't know what they're doing at home. You don't know how healthy they are when they come into camp. You don't know that until the end of camp, because that's when a little bit of fatigue will set in. You're not going to be able to tell by miles an hour or sharpness. You're going to be able to tell how quickly they bounce back the next day and the day after that, and how well they throw the ball just playing catch and long toss. And that tells you a lot. And like I said, there's so much more to spring training than just watching these games and seeing who hits and who doesn't.
2-2 the count. And runners at first and second with nobody out. Elevated a fastball and a strikeout. You know, last year the Cardinals had 44 different players appear for them. 19 position players, 25 pitchers, and 13 different players made their Major League debut
in a shortened season.
Yes.
See that fastball right there, a little short arm with some jump on it.
Back to the top of the lineup, and Victor Robles. 2-1 Nationals here in the top of the second. The first of 12 spring training games on Fox Sports Midwest. Curveball in the dirt, and the runner stayed put. So on July 30th, the Cardinals began to learn that they had a number of players and even staff who had tested positive for COVID-19. And that was supposed to be, you may remember, a weekend series against Milwaukee in Milwaukee. And in all, you had 10 players, 8 staff members who tested positive for COVID. And yet Mike Shildt, despite all the doubleheaders and guys that were falling down in terms of getting the virus, was able to get through that season. They did play just 58 games, not 60. There's a good changeup. That is his best pitch with that fastball. I just think Mike did an incredible job, Mike Maddox, in trying to keep guys healthy for not only this year but thinking beyond, like a Jack Flaherty. Very tough to do.
Well, I mean, you said it. I mean, what they did last year was amazing. I just don't know how you can keep it together, and I guess the only thing you can do is just keep throwing that next player out there and the next player out there. And players did an outstanding job, I think, of trying really to quarantine themselves as far as being limited on what they really do and how well they can stay away from everyone.
30-28, second in the NL Central, qualified for the postseason.
How about that third stat right there?
53 games in 44 days.
Unheard of.
11 doubleheaders. All the different guys that made a major league appearance and wound up having that 3-game series in San Diego. They were in the driver's seat, remember, till game 3, and bullpen start for the Padres. Cardinals had Flaherty, and it just wasn't meant to be.
Padres team is no joke.
Oh, boy.
Getting better.
Blake Snell, Yu Darvish signing Fernando Tatis Jr. to a 14-year extension for $340 million. Jimmy, he has not played a full major league season.
Nope. That is true.
Pitch was up and off the glove of Arenado and into left. Throw to the plate is not in time as Perez scores, and it's a 3-1 Washington lead.
The ball's blistered right there with a top spin. You can see how you could almost see when the ball entered the screen, it was at a certain level, and when it got to Arenado, it was hitting the ground. Did you see that?
Yep.
It's like you're waiting for it to bounce, and yet, or you're waiting for him to reach out for it, and yet it just sunk straight into the ground.
So runners at second and third. Check that. Runners at first and second now for Andrew Stevenson. And a 3-1 Nationals lead. A changeup taken high and away. Swatted foul and out of play.
This guy just wants to pull the ball. You can see that already. Jack threw him a fastball probably in the mid-90s in off the plate. Pulled it into the dugout, and that's just a fastball out over the plate. He didn't want to have nothing to do with swinging at that.
A ball and a strike. Pitch number 14 coming up for Tommy Parsons. Lifted in the air to left field. Catch made by the Gold Glover Tyler O'Neill. Swihart stays at second base.
I think we know which way the wind's blowing.
Yep. Well, you're not far away from the ocean, and you're going to get those days where it is blowing hard in. Sometimes it blows out.
Not really blowing that hard, but it doesn't take much once it gets above that roof. You can see the trees moving around a little bit more than the flags, but it's usually blowing from right to left.
So the Cardinals pod for this spring training includes Miami, who they share the complex with. You'll see a lot of the Mets. You're going to see a lot of the Nationals and the Astros, trying to limit as much time for travel reasons. Ballpark at the Palm Beaches, which is shared by the Nationals and the Astros, and then you're in Port St. Lucie, which is not too far down the road against the Mets.
About 45 minutes north, 30 minutes south. You got a team in your backyard.
Yep. So 24 games this year. By my count, you've got about 90 fewer innings this spring. So you may be seeing some of those B games or live batting practice, the backfields to try to get guys ready and build up arm strength. 0-2 the count. That's also one of the things that they have to deal with in this spring training, all teams. But the idea is you want to get your best 26-man roster ready to go north, and you will have a spring training for the minor leaguers, but it's about getting the arm strength ready of these pitchers so that they're ready to go opening day in Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's all about the team that's going to break to go north, and nobody else really matters. I mean, you're going to obviously get people ready, but what's going on in this field is only about what's going to go up north to St. Louis when the season starts.
Parsons, couple of strikeouts, 3-1 midway through 2. Spring, along with Jim Edmonds, I'm Dan McLaughlin, and we say hello and good afternoon to the Cardinal manager, Mike Shildt. Hey, Mike, great to see you, and let's start with this. How's spring training going for you?
Danny, Jim, pleasure to talk to you. Spring training is going fantastic. Guys are as expected, going about it in a real professional manner. We don't take it for granted. They've really done a great job. Everybody came in ready to go to compete physically, mentally, and they've been on task with everything we're doing.
We were talking about this earlier. You've got 24 games this spring, and you've got the protocols and the various things that you have to do to get ready for a season. What is this spring training like as opposed to some of the others that you've been a part of?
I mean, look, it's a little bit different, but candidly, you know, we've always been intentional about being smart with our work. Over the last several years, we've been able to try to do things in smaller groups. We have what we're doing. We've got the ability to do a lot of different things and try to individualize as much as possible. So we're already set up a little bit for this and learned a lot from summer camp last year as well. And so, you know, just a lot of different things that you just make adjustments to. But some of them we already had as part of our normalized program.
Well, we just saw Dylan Carlson take that pitch to right field. What's camp been like for him so far?
Good. You know, I mean, this guy's hungry. You know, he wants to play. He's just quiet, professional young man that goes about his business and, you know, is looking to, you know, be ready to start the season.
We get the lead runner, and Tyler O'Neill will take second base on that throw that goes wide. Do you as a manager, and thanks for doing this with base runners on, Mike, I know that's not easy to do. Do you as a manager have to call the opposing manager every day of these games and say, hey, let's go 5 or let's go 7, let's go 9, those kind of things?
Yeah, I talked with Davey on, I believe it was Saturday. I called him after a workout. Actually, it was day before yesterday, and just made sure he had 9. We have 9. Actually, we have the lead in the 9th. They're still going to pitch the bottom of the 9th. We're going to get some at-bats, so we're in that mode.
Here's Harrison Bader facing T.J. McFarland, the lefty. And how have you thought about Bader going into 2021 in terms of where he may be in your lineup with lefties on the mound? He's been very good against lefties in his career, right-handed pitching, that kind of thing. Just in general, your thoughts on Harrison?
Well, you know, we're going the 5th year with Harrison being in the big leagues, and I had him in AAA in 16. So, you know, we're always looking for continual improvement with our guys. Harrison, no exception. He's done some things really well. Played obviously good defense and doing some things with the bat that you alluded to. A lot against lefties, doing some damage. Had success against righties. Just about the consistency. Has become a good base runner in the big leagues. So, you know, Harrison is becoming that, you know, guy that we can count on to be an everyday player for us and contribute. And I just want to go out and have some fun, enjoy his skill set.
It's exciting to see the first game for our fan base and Nolan Arenado wearing the birds on the bat. What's it been like for you to watch him in camp?
Yeah, you know what? I have said this a few times, but I was in Double-A when Nolan was playing in Double-A in Tulsa, and I was managing Springfield. And, you know, I got a chance when you're managing the minor leagues, you coach third too. So we played that club a lot, and we played him in the first round of the playoffs. And my point is I got to know him quite a bit. And, you know, just appreciated, you know, this is a baseball player, a guy that loves to play, passion for the game, knowledge for the game. And he's came to camp a little early, and it's been seamless for him from my perspective. He's done everything we've asked, but he just fit right in, and really fun to watch him take ground balls and, you know, take his BP. He's a really good player.
Josh Bell over when playing tricks on that, and it's a foul ball off the bat of Harrison Bader. We're in St. Louis in a studio. Is it windy there, Mike? What's it like? What's the weather like?
It's blowing in a little bit right to left from, you know, it's not like we've had windier days at the Dean, but you know, typical South Florida, we got a little wind kicking up, some more than others, but blowing in a little right and blowing out a little left.
Thanks for the update.
Sure, man. I mean, what else you need, Danny?
Hey, you know I could talk to you all day. So
I mean, I don't know. I know. I love it. I'm not sure what the precipitation is. Attaboy, Harrison.
Lifted in the air into right center, and that ball is down and all the way to the track. A run will score to make it a 3-2 game. Harrison Bader drives in Tyler O'Neill.
Boy, Oni. Love answering back right there after a long inning. That was good. Good at bat for Dylan to get it started. Nice approach by Harris to drive the ball through the middle.
Guys driving the ball the other way. That's so important, especially for these young guys. And I think that's going to set Harrison apart from having spotty play to being able to play every day. Have you seen him making that transition this year like he tried to work on last year?
Yeah, I have Jimmy making strides, man. He really knows what he needs to work on, and he's working on driving the ball regardless of where it's pitched. Clearly, this kid's got power. We want him to tap into it. We want him to take an aggressive swing. Just want him to be, under control to where he can just drive the ball and be on balance because he's already plenty strong. And, being able to get the ball in both calves like he did right there is a big part of his game. He does that, he'll be fine.
Mike, we got Tommy Edman at the top of the lineup. It's early, obviously, in camp, but would you envision him being potentially your leadoff man here in 2021?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of skill sets he's done in the past, been successful doing it. He's got a lot going for him, righty, lefty. He's really proficient from both sides, a little stronger from the right side where he's swinging from now. But sees the game, good base runner, smart base runner, so... And, he's working on continuing to do what he can to improve his OPS. And he does that. He'll be a great candidate to get to the top of that lineup. But I like him up there for a lot of reasons.
Have you given much thought to what you want to do in the middle of your lineup and who would hit in front of Arenado and Goldschmidt? Or would you even contemplate the idea of those two in the second spot or third spot in your lineup?
Thought about all of it, Danny. Really have. We'll play around with it a little bit in spring training. There's the good news is we had a lot of good options, and we'll look at it and see how it feels and tastes, and we'll declare April 1st.
We see Matt Carpenter there. He's your designated hitter. He's on deck. Tommy Edman at the plate. 3 balls and 1 strike. If you need to flip off that headset, Mike, and go manage, we understand that. I see you talking to Ollie.
This is unusual for me, but I gotta let Ollie know something real quick.
Okay.
It's like I was saying, this is a great opportunity to talk to him. Mike, and I'm talking to Danny right now, but I think this is a great opportunity to talk to you when we're on offense, because normally if we're on defense right now, you would have been out of here a long time ago and been giving everyone signs. So it's a nice little spot right here.
Yeah, no, it is. I'd have punted on you, since that first guy came on.
Well, we've seen that. That's why I'm saying.
Right now I'm doing. Yeah. Hey, look, if it was a regular season game, I'd have punted on you too, and I love you guys to death. But I don't get paid to talk like this. I mean, I do to some degree, a part of my gig, but not when the game's going on.
I got you.
You can take a break anytime you want. We got plenty of notes up here for us.
Good. I'm sure you do. It's been a long winter. I'm sure you guys have been quarantining and getting your materials prepared.
Oh yeah, big time.
And quarantining in Mexico. That's where I've been.
Jimmy's got that tough off-season
what a
life,
gig.
Mike. Yeah.
Sorry about you.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, what have you seen out of Carpenter after the trade of Arenado? What I mean, what you've seen in conversations, and we don't need to get to the personal stuff too much, but how has he accepted that, knowing that Nolan is here, Tommy's at second, and you're trying to find a spot for him?
Pro's pro. Wants to play. Guy wants to play for sure, and has worked his tail off this offseason of, driving an hour and a half, each way to work on a few things at a facility that creates some more measurables for him. But guy's just a pro. I don't think he's got enough credit, not only in the current situation, because he said, I love Nolan. I'm close with him, Nolan and his wife, Laura. And, but he's like, look, this guy will make our team better. You put me where you need me. I'm going to compete. I'll be ready for whatever you need. And he's done that really in 2019, and he did it last year as well. So just a pro's pro. Doesn't get enough credit, but does in our clubhouse for sure.
Is he getting a lot of time at second base right now early in camp for you?
He is. You'll see him in there in a couple days at second. You'll see him a little bit at third. But, yeah, he's doing a lot of work at second base with Stubby, our infield coach, and, of course, Akendo as well, getting some time.
3-0 hit into the shift, and Carpenter is retired.
There you go, Mike. Thank you.
Great
we
to
finally
see him,
can let
man.
you go.
Thanks for doing this.
I'll come back. You guys were good for a run, so we'll come back.
St. Louis Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. By Shelter Insurance. For your auto, home, and life, we're your shield, we're your shelter. And by Ford, the official car and truck of the St. Louis Cardinals. Great to visit with Mike Shildt and trying to maybe get that 5th position in the Cardinal rotation. John Gant, who's been so versatile for the club, especially out of the bullpen, and enjoyed another very good season a year ago. Wants to be a starter, Jimmy. That's what he's talking about, and they're going to give him a shot. Gant as a starter was in 2017, made a couple of starts. That was his first year with the Cardinals. This is Josh Bell. And 19 starts in 2018. A lot of ground balls. That's where you love to see him maybe clean up innings, vital spots in a game. And the 0-1 pitch. Ground ball percentage last year was around 63%. And he's striking out more than 10 per 9 a year ago. So he's a versatile guy that can really help them.
Well, and you know what he can do also is he can get the strikeout. And he can do it against lefty and righty.
Look to be the changeup, the Vulcan grip that he has. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Josh Bell walked his first time up, but they rolled over the inning, trying to keep the pitch count low for Flaherty. And the 1-2 pitch. And a good fastball and a strikeout. So John Gant, does he have a shot at that 5th starter spot? He would like to have that shot.
I would really like to have a chance at that starting rotation and kind of get out of that bullpen role. If that's where the team sees me, that's where the team sees me. You know, there's nothing I could do about that. But I would really like to get a crack at that rotation and make some starts again. Just getting an opportunity to go deeper into baseball games and go out there and just be playing baseball for a couple hours instead of a couple minutes.
A couple of hours instead of a couple of minutes.
Looked like he just got done hitting with some eye black on, and he's got some serious facial hair working. But no, he's got the stuff. I think that that's the problem with guys. When you get to the big leagues, you kind of get thrusted into a position and you kind of get stuck to it, like a bench player gets stuck being a bench player until you can break through it. And unless you can break into the starting rotation and you've been a starter, you want to be a starter, and it's not always the easiest thing to do. But he definitely has the stuff to do both. I mean, he could be a closer if he needed to be also, with the velocity in that changeup.
Kyle Schwarber at the plate, singled to center, scored a run back in the 2nd inning. Right when he was signed, he got a phone call from Kevin Long, and you may notice how he is a little bit more crouched at the plate. And he can do that. Launch the ball in the air, hits it out to right, but over to get it, Dylan Carlson. And there's 2 away. And the batter will be Starlin Castro, single to left his first time up.
It's a nice job by Dylan Carlson right there, playing a little bit of the wind. That's especially difficult as a young player, to give yourself up a little bit. You know it's going to blow back to you, but you're always worried about that corner, and that's such a nice thing as a center fielder, to have a guy who's in right, who's not afraid to play the position the right way, so you're not hung out to dry all the time.
And a breaking pitch, taken for a ball upstairs, and it's 1-0. A little tighter breaking ball there. 1 ball, 1 strike. You could see Gant after that first pitch kind of look back in and say, now wait a minute.
Did you hear one of the guys say he fooled everyone? I love it.
And the 1-1 pitch. And even Yadi kind of holding it there, and you don't see him do that a lot.
You could just see Yadi's shoulders right there. He's getting frustrated.
2-1. And now 3 balls and 1 strike. Gant trying to have our first 1-2-3 inning. Little pitch framing here. Quiet behind the plate. Yadi gets the call. 3-2. Got him with the changeup. Couple of strikeouts. Good pitch by Gant. The strikeout of Starlin Castro. 1-2-3 go the Nationals midway through 3, and it's 3-2. 50-50's Cardinals Care, that is back, and we hope that you're a part of that. Fans can try their luck at winning some cash, all while supporting kids in our community. Visit cardinals.com/5050 to purchase tickets, and half of the total pot will go into one lucky winner. Visit cardinals.com/5050 today. Ryan Harper is the new pitcher for the Nationals, and a breaking ball in for a strike. Paul Goldschmidt at the plate. Then Arenado and DeYoung. One ball and one strike. Goldschmidt walked his first time up. Lifted in the air, into right, and the catch made on the edge of the track.
That's where the wind comes into play right there. That is a double everywhere in America, except for right there.
Here's Arenado, who struck out his first time up. Got a nice round of applause from the socially distant crowd. And again gets a nice round of applause. 0 for 1 today. Tight breaking pitch in there for a strike. Shift on the left side of the infield for Nolan Arenado. Another curveball in there. And it's 2 strikes on the Cardinal third baseman.
I think the biggest thing that we're going to see and Arenado's going to see is spring training in Florida is definitely different, and it's definitely tougher to hit in some of these ballparks. I noticed right away a lot of the backdrops are just really small, and you can see every now and then when we pan out, and you can see before the center field fence and the pitcher's basically the batter's eye, sorry, right there is about half maybe is the size of some of the newer ballparks, and especially in Arizona. And they're massive, massive walls. And sometimes you'll see a breaking ball pop up out of a pitcher's hand and jump right into the clouds. And then once you've lost it, you've lost it. Doesn't happen as much in Arizona. I thought that was the biggest challenge for me moving from Arizona to Florida. And all the ballparks are pretty much still the same now, except for there's a couple of even newer ones in Arizona. But I struggled a little bit hitting in spring training once I got over here, and that was always something that I enjoyed, was going to spring training and really being able to see the ball and hit. And it got a little tougher once I got to Florida.
Lifted into center. Victor Robles there to make the catch, and there's 2 down. Well, you're also, you know, when you think about being in Florida, when it starts to get pretty hot down there and sticky, there are days that the ball doesn't travel, and you probably saw that too.
Yeah, you know, they're totally different. You know, everyone says the travel's nothing. Travel in Florida versus Arizona, and especially now, is nothing. It's the difference in the temperatures and the weather and the wind and the thickness of the grass, and easier on the legs because the grass is thicker. I felt like my feet were always killing me in Arizona because of the field, the playing surface is so hard because of the dryness and the heat. But then the legs get a little bit more fatigued because the surfaces are all softer. So there's always adjustments, and there's so many things that come into play moving from one side to the other. It's incredible if you think about it. All the small little details. You know, just not being able to see a curveball once in a while, not a big deal, but talk about heavier legs, softer fields, more wet, a lot more wind, a ball doesn't carry, the dry air in Arizona, the ball flies. So it's a big difference.
Oh, Harper likes that curveball, didn't he?
Yep. More break on the breaking ball in Florida than you would get in Arizona.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Paul DeJong.
I think if you were to look at the scores every day, Arizona score sheets are, you'll see some 10-12 games, some 12-2 games. Florida, you're seeing 5-4, 3-2. You'll see some 10-7, but not very often. When the wind's not blowing or it's blowing out, it's when you see the big scores in Florida. It's like that every day in Arizona, I feel.
Tony, make you go across the state? Red Sox, Minnesota, maybe a game against the Yankees down in Tampa?
I think that we were basically made to do it once
One
here
time?
and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what Tony was amazing at? He would put you in you knew right away what you were doing. So it wasn't like any guesswork. Like, I didn't walk into the stadium one day and go, oh man, I got to travel today. I knew I was playing today, and then I was playing in 2 days, and then I was playing in 3 days, and I was playing back to back. And then I knew he would say, okay, this is your situation. Which one of these trips do you want to go on, or which one of these trips you don't want to go on? And so then you have to back up a little bit and say, okay, I'll give you 2 days in a row here to take this day off.
3-2, that curveball again, and a strikeout of Paul DeJong. Cardinals go in order. Sends us to the 4th, 3-2 Nationals. About Nolan Arenado, it is an immediate change in their careers. One of them is Matt Carpenter, who would have been more than likely the everyday third baseman 2021. The other is one of the top prospects, who, by the way, plays third base for the Cardinals, Nolan Gorman, as John Gant is in his 2nd inning. And Gorman now has been working out at second base, and even for the first time taking some fly balls in the outfield.
Well, that's what you do, and the whole goal, especially on both sides of the game, this game, is to get to the big leagues. Organization, get the kid to the big leagues however you can, find the best position for him. You can't move him around. You have to sometimes trade some of those guys. You take your choice, right? You have the best third baseman in the world, and then you have a young man who's going to be what you think is going to be great, but you never know. So sometimes, as a player, you have to accept the fact that, hey, I'm trying to get to the big leagues somehow. And you move around a little bit, or you end up, hopefully not getting stuck behind someone, but this guy's way too good and too young. He's going to find another position, or he's going to find another team who he's going to take off with, and he's going to be a star.
Into the corner, and the catch is made by Tyler O'Neill. Very well done.
You sure? He came out okay.
He got it.
Nice play. It's a long run right there.
Well done in foul territories. That ball carried all the way to the wall. And so it has been 4 up and 4 down for John Gant, who is indeed good at baseball. I don't know if you saw this about a week ago or so. He started trending on Twitter. And the trending topic was John Gant, good at baseball. And he is not on Twitter, but people were telling him, hey, you're trending on Twitter nationally, worldwide. And so he heard that, and he said, well, thank you very much. He is one of the finest athletes on the roster. Since 2018, he's thrown the 6th most pitches for the Cardinals, behind just the starters. Mentioned the ground ball rate, 6th best in his time in St. Louis. But it was really a big spike in that from 2019 to 2020. And if you go back to 2018, it's jumped by almost 17%, that ground ball rate.
I don't know if you were paying attention to what you were reading or not, but he just threw a fastball.
I saw it.
Belt high 2-0 for a ball, and then just threw the same pitch 3 or 4 inches higher for a strike.
And the 3-1 pitch is strike 2.
If you're a pitcher, sometimes you have to be thinking, what am I doing out here right now with this guy behind the plate?
And doesn't get the call there. So 1 out walk, first base runner that Gant has allowed.
It never gets old, does it? Just laughing at that.
So bring in Jake Knoll.
And it's such a disadvantage to everyone, too. It's not a pitcher thing. It's not a catcher thing. It's not a hitter thing. Everyone's guessing. And then as a hitter, you're thinking, wait, did he miss that one? Or did he not miss that one? Or is that not a strike? Well, the next one's a strike. So which one is it?
Curveball, he hung it. And it is a foul ball down the left field line. Jake Knoll, he's a first baseman. They have brought back, by the way, Ryan Zimmerman. So you've got Josh Bell. And you have what in many ways is the face of the franchise in Ryan Zimmerman. And Jake Knoll trying to make this club. Here's an 0-1 pitch to Knoll. Taken just a bit low. Well, Major League Baseball firing up spring training in Arizona and Florida today. One of the great stories, Trey Mancini, a standing ovation when he got his first hit since battling colon cancer. Awesome. It's starting to rain, you can see there in Florida. You'll get those mid-afternoon showers.
Pretty much every other day.
Just a matter of when.
Good news is it doesn't really stay around very long, except for that 1 or 2 days when it just rains for 48 hours straight. But it comes down in a hurry like that right there. That's not fun.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Pitch taken high, and it's 2-2.
The rain and the cold. Not fun to play in.
The 2-2 pitch. Change up taken inside. Full count. We'll see if they want to start the runner here. This will be pitch number 30 as they stretch out John Gant. The one getting loose in the Cardinals' pen. And that pitch taken up and in. So even if Gant is not a part of the starting rotation, back to the original point of what we were saying before, you could have starters not especially early go deep or as deep as you're accustomed to in games. And, you know, you have guys like Gant that if they're stretched out, or Genesis Cabrera, others, Alex Reyes, to give him multi-innings, especially early to bridge the gap to get to the back end of the bullpen as Roel Ramirez begins to warm up down in the Cardinal bullpen.
Yeah, we've also seen them use the first inning guy, or maybe even 2 starters go back-to-back in one game, not being able to have everyone stretched out. Interesting, back in the day, they would go to 4-man rotation early on because of the off days, but you might see the opposite. Even with the off days, you might see a 6-man, and then that way it still gives them some flexibility to pull one of the guys in and out on a bullpen day to maybe use some relief or what have you. So it all depends on who can do what. Some guys can bounce all over the place, and some guys really can't. Nasty
2 strikes. A lot of times we've said this many times now. We're doing this game in St. Louis, and you see the rain falling, and it's a lot worse on the screen than it is in person. So what you see on your TV, yeah, you know, what, 30, 45 seconds ago, it looked like it was pouring, and sometimes that's not necessarily the case.
Or it could be, and it just goes away.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does that.
Check swing and a strikeout.
You're right, it definitely can be deceiving, especially with those cameras. Look at that changeup. Wow. Straight down.
Andrew Stevenson walked and flied to left. 0 for 1. Runners at first and second with 2 down. Breaking pitch, lifted in the air, and in foul territory, Tyler O'Neill. So John Gant coupled the scoreless innings, vying for that 5th starter spot. Midway through 4, baseball is back, and it's 3-2. Budweiser, what's on tap? A reminder, it's an off day for the club tomorrow. And the Cardinals back in action on Tuesday and Wednesday, games that we will have for you. Thursday and Friday, we will not. Saturday's an off day, and then a week from today, Houston. Upcoming television on Fox Sports Midwest. 6'2", 220-pounder, a lefty, Ben Bramer, out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. His numbers a season ago. And here's Yadier Molina, what would probably be his final plate appearance of the afternoon. 3-2 our score. Yadi flied to center his first time up.
There's that dark cloud. You can see how everything kind of changes a little bit. Gets darker, gets lighter.
Here's a 1-0. Garcia has taken over at short for the Nationals, and he is considered one of their top prospects. 3 infielders on the left side. Yadi trying to take it to the right side. Mentioned it many times how Molina will beat that shift. Adept at going the other way. Now they're a little bit more straight up.
Yeah, he's got so much confidence on letting the ball get deep, and that's what hitting is all about. He knows when guys are going to challenge him. He knows who's in a hole and guys are going to go away. And he can just stay back.
And a base hit for Yadier Molina. Yadi picked up hit number 2,000 last year. And the future Hall of Famer just keeps on rolling.
Also, when he tries to hit the ball the other way, as a hitter, you're going to take what they give you as far as what you see. So if you got a guy that you believe that you can do some damage against, you're not going to try and push the ball to the right side. When you get a tough lefty, or I mean a tough righty, sorry, and you're going to try and fight him off, then that's the guy you really just try to take it easy, not try to do too much with.
Now Dylan Carlson singled to right. 1 for 1. Now Garcia wanting the glasses as the sun is peeking through the clouds. Andrew Kisner is the pinch runner at first base for Molina. What was the difference, Jimmy, that you saw in Dylan Carlson first time through, then was sent back down to satellite camp, and then the second time?
Oh, the adjustments. I think that we watched him start off where he was swinging the bat pretty well, and then he was just basically on autopilot, like in the minor leagues, where you get first pitch fastball, you get 2-0 fastball, you get 3-1 fastballs. He wasn't getting that. He was getting breaking balls early in the count, changeups in 2-0, sliders all day long. Wasn't getting a lot of fastballs, and then late in the count, he was getting the fastball when he started thinking opposite. So he went down there and worked a little bit on just kind of relaxing and knowing that in the big leagues, and this is the toughest thing about the big leagues, you're going to get any pitch in any situation. So you start looking fastball, and you have to be under control, so when you start to see spin, you pull back. and you can't be so over aggressive where you can't pull back. And that's the thing, talking with Harrison all the time about, is he can't pull back when he sees sliders because he's so geared up for the fastball. So you have to back off just a little bit where you're under control. You're not swinging at 100%. You're not swinging at 90% all the time. Your body's in that 50% mode. And then when you start to swing, halfway through your swing, you decide, okay, turn it up a notch or just keep that nice, smooth swing. And that is where he had to go and adjust to, because like I said, if you're just up there thinking you're getting a fastball and you're taking it for granted, you're not seeing any other pitches with your eyes.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Tyler O'Neill. Good changeup. I got to wonder, looking at the backdrop there of behind home plate, the rain is hit, and it's off those protective coverings of the seats. And now the sun is shining. Look at that background, Jimmy, and how tough that might be for somebody to pick up the ball off the bat.
Terrible. Especially up the middle. I think, and everyone's going to have it different, but you can see if it's shiny right there, short second, center field are going to have some trouble. And hopefully the first baseman and the third baseman have a better angle, because you're a little too close right there to have that that shine in your eyes, especially at third and first.
Kisner, the runner at second base, the tying run for the Cardinals in the home half of the fourth.
That's almost as fun as when you're in the playoffs and you're a visiting player and the home team's swinging the white rally towels.
Yes.
And the ball comes out of the pitcher's hand and you don't even know where it goes. If the guy swings, did it go up in the air? Does the catcher have it? You're just like looking around to see who's moving. That is not a good feeling.
O'Neill went down to get it, and a base hit into left field. They're going to wave in Kisner, and the throw to the plate is in time, and they got him. A strong throw from left after the base hit by O'Neill.
It's not what you want your backup catcher to be doing his first inning into the game. Running hard around the bases and having to slide into the catcher. Old school blockage of the plate right there.
Sure was.
Nice throw by Schwarber.
The former catcher, Kyle Schwarber. Now Harrison Bader, double his first time up.
If you watch, he's a really good candidate to watch what we were talking about. And you can see when he swings at a slider in the dirt, you could break it down. He's already swinging when that ball, he's made up his mind when that ball's on its way. And he's seeing the spin too late. That's why he's working on hitting the ball the other way. That's why you work on letting the ball get a little deeper. Every little millisecond makes all the difference in the world.
Gotta wonder if Mike Shildt, we'll see how the season plays out. Long year, 162 games, but if there's a lefty on the mound, if you would think about putting Bader at the top of the lineup, as well as he has hit historically in his career, minor league baseball, college, certainly in Major League Baseball.
I mean, I don't see why not. It gives you another option.
It's been very good.
I don't know. That's when you start comparing your on-base percentages, which we don't do a lot here, breaking it down that much. When you start to see your on-base percentage between, say, a Tommy Edman and a Harrison Bader against a certain guy, against a certain lefty, you know, what the lefty does for strengths. Tony used to break it down so much as far as this guy, you know, you're a 440 hitter against lefties, but you don't hit this guy well. And then you might not even play. So
3-1 the count. Time is called with 2 outs and a runner at first. In the air, shallow center. Robles called off by Schwarber, and the catch is made. 3-2 as we head to the 5th.
He scored! Oh, kneecap! Oh, skate save and a beauty! Oh, 5-hole! Oh, no catch! Oh, Shuji scores! He was onside.
Brian Eversgerd, the bullpen coach of the Cardinals, hitting rockets at PFP and doing his best John Kelly impersonation, I think.
That is what makes spring training so much fun. And also, those are rag balls. Those are not real baseballs.
Thank goodness.
But they're still pretty hard.
Oh, that's great.
I'll tell you what, when it gets going like that at the end of the day, you'll start to see all the position players standing there watching that because it's that entertaining.
Roel Ramirez, the 25-year-old that was part of the Tommy Pham deal that brought in Justin Williams, Genesis Cabrera. He's part of the Arizona Fall League back in 2019. And you may remember his lone outing last year, August 16th. Gave up 6 earned in 2/3 of an inning.
I do remember that.
Yep.
And then he was gone the next day. It's a tough way to go.
And the 2-1 pitch. Instead, time is called.
How long do you think he's been thinking about pitching again?
Oh, man.
Can you imagine?
No.
You get 1 shot to pitch. You give up 6 innings. And probably against the White Sox, right? You give up 2 or 3 home runs back to back 4. And then all year and all winter, you have to sit there and think about that and when you're going to get another shot to pitch.
You think about your debut your entire life. And unfortunately for him,
That's not the way you thought about it?
No, not the way you want to plan it.
They used to have a word for that. It was called shell-shocked. And that is not a good way to look at it.
That would apply.
He's still going, and
Yep.
he's got a good arm, and he's got a bright future. That's just a tough way to start it.
Here's a 3-2 pitch. Ouch. That one looked to catch home plate umpire Angel Hernandez on his hand or his wrist.
I don't know why. I think that, like,
Hope he's all right.
that's weird. You see where his hand is, right? It's weird because the catchers will put their throwing hand behind their back. Why wouldn't you as an umpire? Maybe
He's in
sometimes
that-
you get a little lazy, or you get a little, yeah, you're in a window where the ball's like you're in
You're in that slot.
Yeah, you're right behind the catcher. You're not behind him. You're in the hole. Like, it's just right there. He's tough, though. Strike
have a
zone,
good,
strike zone
relationship?
sometimes not always the best, but he's a tough dude.
Do you have a good relationship
Yeah,
with Angel?
I did. I mean, yeah, I like him. I think he struggles behind the plate. I think that it's well known, but good guy. Sometimes gets a little right in the hand. Sometimes it gets a little rough, but overall professional, and he works hard. It's just some guys just struggle a little bit more than others behind the plate.
Wouldn't surprise me if he left this game. I mean,
No.
do you already see the bruising on that hand?
He's not leaving this game. It would surprise me if he left this game.
Would it really?
Yeah. Nothing you can do about it. Might as well just stay there. It always blows me away when a guy gets hit in the hand or something.
Nagowski to Ramirez.
Nice job by Ramirez right there, getting over there, getting out of the way. I always kind of make a joke out of a guy who gets hit in the hand or the elbow or the wrist. And I know it hurts, but you're just running the bases. Like, did you have to come out of the game right away? Can you not give your manager maybe another, you know, a minute or two to adjust the lineup before you have to come out? And I don't know.
Don't you want to get treatment on it, though, right away?
I mean, your legs aren't broke.
All right.
It just depends. I mean, clearly if your hand's broken or something, but you see guys that sometimes just want to get out of the game too quickly.
There's Josh Bell. 0 for 1 today with a walk and a strikeout, and that's fouled away.
And I feel like his swing just keeps getting longer and longer.
Remember that first half he had a couple of years ago with the Pirates. He was an MVP candidate.
He just
made the All-Star team.
He's just getting to the point where his bat is just going at a big loop. He's not getting, you can see the contact zone is almost back there by the catcher's glove.
One ball and one strike. Former Pittsburgh Pirate Josh Bell. And the 1-1 pitch. Trevor Williams, who pitched for the Pirates, is now a member of the Cubs. Joe Musgrove was traded to San Diego from Pittsburgh.
You know what I'm noticing right here too? Watch how hard he's diving over the plate. That literally would build a hole underneath your hands, and so you have to sweep your bat around to get to it. So he closes off so much right there, and that's not even exaggerated, but all that's doing is having you have to now open back up. And the way he does it is he leans back a little bit, and so that bat goes around. He's not swinging it, he's literally having to pull it, creating a huge loop. That's what I talk to my son about it all the time. It worries me about the open stances. It's really
all the other way.
That's really what he's going to do right now. Is that you can see he's almost taking that ball out of the catcher's glove, because that long swing is only going to give you timing. You can see he doesn't. He can't get that bat. He's not going to make contact with that ball in front of his body. He can't get the bat there right now. And that's what I said, like with young players, when you start open and you think you're going to be able to see really well and you're going to stride into it, all you're doing is creating all this momentum of going to the plate, and then your body wants to actually open back up. So it's kind of like a reverse effect. It's like that, what do you call that when you just yank the ball off the tee to the left, like a double crossover when you're playing golf? What do they call it? Yeah, but it's just like when the ball just goes boom, boom to the left, and it's kind of the same thing. You kind of lean over and you just pull through, and it's the same thing with the bat. You get too far over your body, and then you have nowhere to go.
Kyle Mendoza is the runner at first, and now Schwarber singled to center back in the second inning, scored on a wild pitch, and also flied out to right. I called an errant shot and frustration. I've seen you get frustrated playing golf, Jimmy.
It's easy to do. It's just sitting there.
But I've also seen you hit it about 400 yards. It's just not consistency.
You play a couple times a year. That's the way it goes. You'll be proud of me. I've basically given it up now, so you don't have to worry about it anymore.
So Drew Mendoza at first base. John Nagowski at first base, former Seminoles at Florida State. And the 2-0 pitch. Nagowski is actually going to play a little outfield too, which he did in college, trying to make this club. And you think about potentially what he offers to the club in terms of coming off the bench and giving you an at-bat in which he puts the ball in play. More walks than strikeouts.
Does not strike out much.
2-1 pitch, instead a check on the runner. I want you to take a look at Schwarber's stance here. I mentioned it earlier that Kevin Long, the hitting coach of the Nationals, first thing he did is, we want to get you a little bit more crouched. Remember how he was standing very tall in the batter's box with the Cubs, and they've gotten him to bend his knees a little bit more. What do you think that's doing?
Maybe just keeping his head from moving, but you can see he's open. We'll watch when he steps to the ball. He's not really flying over the plate. See where his step is just a minuscule step. It's not closing down, and basically he's just getting to where he needs to be, where a lot of guys are open so much. Watch, he doesn't really get too close. He's just right there, perfect. You see Josh Bell, his front foot was going a whole nother step, a whole full foot length closer to the plate, which caused you to get over the top of the plate.
Inside corner, and he struck him out.
I think sometimes when you crouch down a little bit, as long as you're not standing back up, you're keeping your head more still. And that's basically what you're trying to do. Just keep everything as still as possible when you're hitting. Good pitch right here. When all else fails, throw the fastball for a strike.
But this time in the game, you start to see the regulars going out, some of the minor league players coming in. 3-2 our score with 2 outs in the top of 5.
The future of the organization.
This is Jackson Clough, infielder for the Nationals. And the 1-0 pitch. Popped up left side and out of play. Boy, it has to feel great for the players to see the fans in the stands, albeit not full, but still
some noise.
Yeah. A lot of players talked about how tough it was last year, and you know the numbers for some great players bear that out. Javi Baez, Christian Yelich, the oddity of last year, not playing in front of fans, the motivation part of that, and hopefully we can get some full stadiums and get people back in the ballpark.
No, I'm not going to comment on the whole COVID thing, but I did find it interesting over the winter to read a lot of the areas that were not as affected as what we think, as far as like gyms and stuff like that. So it will be interesting to see how quickly they can get people back in the stands.
Lane Thomas with the catch in center, took over for Bader. Ramirez a scoreless inning, and it's 3-2 midway through 5. Cardinals Magazine brings you the stories you haven't heard about on your favorite Cardinals. You'll get them all with a subscription by calling 314-345-9000 or visit cardinals.com/magazine. On the cover, the great Bob Gibson. Opening day this year will not be the same without Gibby or Lou, as we found out about the passing of Bob Gibson on the final day of the season as the Cardinals were eliminated from postseason play. And our thoughts and our prayers go out to Bob's family. 2-time Cy Young Award winner, 9-time All-Star, Hall of Famer, and one of the greatest that ever did it. This is McGowan now, the new pitcher. That will roll foul. That was awfully close to being a fair ball. You don't give up on it. Kyle McGowan, his numbers last season, appeared in 9 games for the Nets.
Not a whole lot of rolling there either. That ball just bounced and stuck. Stuck foul.
Max Moroff, who has seen major league time with various clubs, trying to make the club as a backup. Signed late in the offseason. Non-roster invitee for St. Louis. Play the infield, little outfield as well. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Alex Reyes is warming up in the Cardinal pen. The 2-2. Breaking ball is lifted down the left field line and out of play. Find a young fan. I like that. Thank you, sir. Souvenir at the ballpark. And a swing and a miss by Moroff, and that's how we start play here in the home half of the fifth. Got to give it to the young fan, Jimmy.
Got to. Some serious breaking balls right there by McCown, though.
I mean, look at that guy. He is fired up. It's going to be something. He keeps the rest of his life. Don't throw it. No, don't throw it.
I was thinking that was coming regardless.
See, you got Dad there on the right. You got Grandpa there on the left, and you're taking in a ball game. That's as good as it gets. Don't throw it. But you just made a memory. Now you got a fan for life. Matt Caesar is the new batter for St. Louis. Dad's going to get a selfie. You don't forget those things.
Selfie. Little Instagram. Look, Mom, what I caught.
Then you get that kid signed up for the Cardinals Kids Club. That's what's next. Here's a 1-1. And watch this. Now the Kids Club graphic pops up, and it ties in perfectly, Jimmy. Membership includes a fleece blanket, a wall sign, virtual events. That includes Fredbird, and it's all for just $33. Cardinals.com/Kids Club. You can be a part of it. The 2-1. The 3-1 pitch. Hit out to left, but yanked foul. Angel took that foul ball off his right hand or wrist, and he's got that thing wrapped up, and I don't blame him.
He's got some ice on there.
Yeah.
Already.
Let's give him credit for staying in the game.
He's got a, you can see one of those latex gloves with some ice in it.
Yeah.
Patted down.
Not the way you want to start your season. 3-2 froze him, and a strikeout of Caesar.
Just be happy that the season started, Danny.
You got it.
Take a bruise.
It was March 12th, I believe, of last season. We were the final, well, at least one of the final games in sports when the season was shut down. Good to be back. Here's Nogowski, and he looks at a strike. So an intriguing player, John Nogowski, keeps a notebook, takes notes on Paul Goldschmidt. He was telling me the other day, Nolan Arenado, he says, I want to see how they're doing it, what makes them special. He said, those guys have really helped me. Did so last year. We saw John make his major league debut last season and get his first major league hit against the White Sox. Here's the 0-2 pitch.
Well, it's you know, it goes without saying why these guys are leaders, right? They're obviously stars on the field, but what you don't see is what they do off the field. And for me, when I got over here, that was what I did with Mark McGwire. I just followed him around. I was like, he's never at his locker, and I'm sitting here doing nothing. Why is he never at his locker? And then found out he was hitting, or he was stretching, or he was getting treatment, or he was in the hot tub, or, you know, anything to get ready for the game. And there was, obviously, as you get older, it takes a little bit longer each day. You don't feel as good. And I noticed that just learning from that just made me a better player.
The Cat will visit with Paul Goldschmidt on Zoom when we come back. Alex Reyes is coming into the game, and he's part of a group that can bring it. Oviedo, Fernandez, Cabrera, Hicks, who's coming back healthy this year, Alex Reyes, Ryan Helsley. Not only can they bring it with the average fastball velocity in their careers, but they're all young guys too, Jimmy, and that is the trend that we see in baseball. Guys that are just bringing it.
Yeah, they got some good, talented arms. I was just looking at that picture of Alex Reyes. I think they took that back when he was about 16. He's put on some weight since then. Yeah, this guy is, man, we've been waiting a long time to see him stay healthy and come into his own.
Mike Maddox was saying the other day he had heard about some pitchers when he got to St. Louis, and then he heard all about one in particular, the guy on the mound. That's lifted in the air out to left field, and the catch is made by Austin Dean. And one of the things he talked about with Alex Reyes is the untapped potential that we're starting to see now because he's healthy. Came out of the bullpen last year, made his debut, electrifying debut in 2016. Was very good at the end of last season, but it was just finally good. And we've said this so many times, to see him healthy. And when he's right, he's as good as anybody. Mentioned that we're going to hear from Paul Goldschmidt, but we didn't, or at least we weren't sure if Alex Reyes was coming into the game. So we're going to push back that interview a little bit later in our contest. We will get that in with Jim Hayes and Paul, but we want to see Alex Reyes here. That's taken high, 2 balls and no strikes. Jim's done a great job on these Zooms, and you're going to hear a bunch of those interviews throughout spring training. The 2-0 pitch by Alex.
Good pitch right there.
And the 3-0. 3-1. It's been all kinds of issues that he's had. Shoulder, elbow, on his side that hasn't allowed him to have a full major league season for the better part of the last 4 or 5 years. Comes back and gets a pop-up here on 3-1 into right field. Justin Williams is there to make the catch.
It's funny, you watch Reyes pitch and his mechanics look so sound. I don't know if he's really changed them. He doesn't look much different, but for the injuries that he's had, you just don't see a guy like with a really funky mechanics. He looks smooth, everything looks easy. Might have a little bit more explosion in the latter part of the release point. But man, he looks so good. I just don't understand where the injuries were coming from.
First 6 pitches, 98, 97, 96. That's his first breaking ball. 97, 96, 96. If you're going to be very careful with Hicks, and by all accounts the Cardinals will be, as he's returning from Tommy John, and if Alex Reyes is not in your rotation, and by all accounts there, it looks like he's going to pitch out of the bullpen to get more innings this year. Just build him up to being in the rotation probably this time next year. It does beg the question, does Alex Reyes get, you know, some of the cracks at closing games out when others are not available, namely Hicks? There's the curveball lifted into left field. Austin Dean. He's there. Alex Reyes looks solid in his first outing of 2021. Midway through 6. 3-2 Washington. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and not to be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Johan Adan, 22-year-old out of the Dominican Republic, is in. You got video everywhere at the ballpark, Jimmy.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out where that one was coming from. They're watching you.
Nolan Gorman at the plate. He's got what you can't teach in that tremendous raw power. The bat will play. They'll find a position for you. Genesis Cabrera, the left-handed pitcher, getting loose in the Cardinals' pen. And the 1-1 to Gorman. And a ground ball hit into the shift. And the first out here in the bottom of the 6th. I kind of like that with Reyes. I mean, I understand you're trying to build him up. And by the end of spring, maybe a multi-inning pitcher coming out of your bullpen. But that first outing, healthy, 1, 2, 3, looks good, get him out.
I mean, I think that goes for everyone. I think the very first day or two, you're so out of whack. I don't care what kind of shape you're in or what you're doing beforehand. This first game is so nerve-wracking and just want to get through the day and to the next day. And every single player is thinking the same thing. Just want to get through this day and then get back into your routine of, okay, I feel good. That was the first day. I don't care if I got 1 at bat, 2 at bats, 5 pitches, 30 pitches. Just wanted to get through today and then go forward from here.
Edmundo Sosa trying to make the club as a backup. He is out of options, so this is a big spring training for him. The 2-0 pitch. One thing about Sosa, and we've had the chance to watch him in particular in games like this over the last couple of years. Defensively, he is terrific. It's just been, can he get the bat to match that to some extent? There's a strike, 3-1.
And that's the hardest part, and being consistent at the plate at this level. Like I said, is a big difference when you're in the minor leagues and you know a 2-0 fastball is coming, you know a 3-1 fastball is coming, and you pretty much think first pitch fastball is coming almost every at bat. So it changes when that changes, and then now you're guessing and you're having to be a little bit more of a complete and balanced hitter. Totally different game.
So 2 outs now, nobody on. And our first look, not behind the plate, but at the plate for Andrew Knizner. Cardinals have gone out and gotten a couple of players, catchers, that have major league experience, not a ton. And it's still the same old question, and unfortunately for many catchers in the Cardinals system for the last 18 years as they have battled to try to be the backup. But you have Yadier Molina there, and are you better off saying, okay, Andrew Knizner, at this point, let's bring you up, you are the backup, or are you better off getting more seasoning in the minor leagues? He's a good prospect.
Such a tough question. I think that sometimes it just depends on who is your third guy, and do your veterans like throwing to that person?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you have to sacrifice maybe him getting better for the sake of the team needing a guy who really they can trust. And sometimes, you know, you can learn so much at this level, standing next to Yadi 24/7,
and that's my question about it.
To a Wainwright and those guys on your off days, and yeah, you're obviously going to struggle to get some timing with the bat, but you know what? I think that you either sacrifice a year at the big league level, because I mean you can get a lot of at bats and get comfortable in AAA. It's still not the same, you know. And there's guys down there who'll never make it to the big league. So much guesswork on that kind of a situation where what's best for him.
And a strikeout as the Cardinals go 1, 2, 3. Spring training baseball, Cardinals baseball is back, and so is Genesis Cabrera. He comes on when we come back. All season long, does a great job always on our sidelines, and our reporter, and he had the chance to catch up a couple of days ago with slugger Paul Goldschmidt.
The Cardinals make a big splash by bringing in Arenado, and I had heard, Paul, that you and Nolan had a good relationship before that move was made, and that you had been talking to him. Tell us about your relationship with Arenado and just your thoughts on him as a player and what he can be for your ball club.
I mean, first off, he's a great player. He's one of the best players in the league, and man, we were excited to have him. It was a huge addition for us, and he's fitting right in, and it's going to be great. I mean, we just, him and I have been playing against each other for a long time. We were drafted, played against each other all the way back in rookie ball in the big leagues for a long time, Arizona and Colorado. Got to play on the All-Star team together a few times, and then also probably when we became, better friends was on Team USA with the World Baseball Classic a few years ago. So just getting to know him along with other guys around the league. You know, obviously it's good to have a friend here, but more importantly, just a great player and teammate and a guy who wants to win and a guy who's excited to be here too.
You guys also have some young players, and the Cardinal veterans always go out of their way to help along the younger players. Dylan Carlson mentioned that, you know, you've been giving him advice, suggesting some books that he read. Can you just talk about the responsibility you feel as one of the Cardinal veterans to help along the young guys like Dylan Carlson?
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, for me, it started with my career. Even when I was in the minor leagues, I went to my first big league camp, and just the guys who took me under their wing, who showed me how to prepare every day, who, you know, took me to dinner off the field, who mentored me, and then getting called up to the big leagues. You know, I had other veterans that played the same position as me, and they were there helping me, not rooting against me. And so I owe a huge amount of my individual success to these other players when I was younger. And so I do feel that I want to continue to do that, and they set the example of how to be a teammate. Now, as you know, I've become more of the veteran player. We have younger guys. It's something I've always remembered and appreciated, and I want to, you know, kind of carry that on, and hopefully I can share some wisdom that was shared with me and help these guys. It'll help them individually. It'll help our team. And then hopefully as, you know, my career ends and they're the veterans here, then they'll be doing that to the young guys and, you know, just keep this organization, you know, strong and keep the team well, and just kind of, you know, how it goes.
Speaking of veterans and guys who have a wealth of knowledge, how great is it from your perspective to see Waino back and Yadi back, and you guys are, you know, all back together at spring training?
Yeah, that was huge for us. Those are our two leaders, you know, more than anyone, and they have so much success and knowledge, and they're great players and great teammates. So, you know, I love playing with them. I love competing with them. Guys who want to win as much as anyone. They push everyone else to be the best that they can, and you know, we all just try to carry on that tradition, and you know, are excited for this year, excited to go out there and compete and see what we can do.
I know you're a guy who appreciates the fans, and especially the ones in St. Louis. Just the promise of having some fans, whatever the number, whatever they can do safely, everyone knows safety first, but to have some fan presence during the regular season, what will that mean to you as a player?
Yeah, I think it'll be fun for us, but I think more importantly, it'll be great for the fans. We know how the fans go around St. Louis and even, you know, spreading out from there, how much they love the Cardinals and how much they support us, and for them to be able to, you know, for us to be able to play a full season, and then for some people to be able to see it in person is huge. And like I said, it'll be good for us, but I think even more just understanding how important it is for the fans to be able to hopefully, you know, put a smile on their face, win some games, have people, you know, enjoy going to the ballpark, maybe get to interact with them a little bit. Who knows what that'll be like, but we understand, you know, their support for us, how much they want us to succeed, and we want to succeed just as much, if not more, and it'll be fun to get to do that, hopefully.
Really good interview there with Paul Goldschmidt and Jim Hayes. And again, Jimmy will be with us the start of the regular season, and many of those interviews that he conducted will be playing those during spring training. There's Nolan Gorman with a terrific play down at third. Nicely done, Nolan Gorman. The hot corner. Wow, that's a great play. Nolan's been seeing a lot of time at second base and even taking some fly balls in the outfield. But that is his natural position, third base. Well done, Nolan Gorman. Genesis Cabrera's gotten the first two. Nasty pitch. And this is where the Cardinals could separate themselves from a lot of other teams. The pitching depth that they have. A guy like Cabrera could go to be your fifth starter. You could stretch him out. Middle innings type pitcher. Give you multi-inning appearances. Could be a closer. Part of the Tommy Pham deal. We didn't really know much about him at the time, but we're finding out more as he progresses. We're in the top of the seventh of our first telecast of 2021. With Jim Edmonds, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Our thanks to Jimmy Hayes. That pitch taken high. Jimmy, I know you'd love to be a lefty digging in against Genesis Cabrera. Huh?
Yeah, no.
No thanks.
Not especially right now. No, thank you. Spring training.
Yeah.
That's a good thing too. You know, as an older player, Tony would be like, "Hey, you don't really need this at bat right now, so go ahead and take it to the showers." But then at the end of the year, you know, if there's a guy who I'm going to face, you know, like a guy like this, if you're on the other team and you're going to have a chance to see him during the season, you're facing him, you know, so that's just the way it goes. But early on in spring training, yeah, no, thank you.
I think it's going to be kind of fascinating to see how the Cardinals approach who they want to pitch later in spring when you're facing the Nationals and the Marlins.
Jeez.
Wow.
That's strike 4 right there.
And the reason I bring that up is, you know, you're walking the fine line. You're trying to get guys work. You want them built up. You want them ready to go. However, the first...
Look at this pitch. What a great curveball.
Wow. First road trip of the season takes you through Miami. And you're going to face Washington in the first month. So sometimes you don't want those guys that they may see to see you late in spring.
That is going to be a key. I don't even think late in spring as much as just too many times. You know, You're right. Late in spring for sure, but more than once or twice. And, you know, it's one of those things we've talked about in the past where if a guy keeps getting you out, you're going to do whatever. If you're a good player, you're going to do whatever it takes to have a good at bat against a guy like that. So you don't want to give them keys against the guy that he's going to come in to get you out in that one at bat in that one game that's going to mean something. And yeah, I don't want my lefty facing guys that he's going to have to get out when it's crunch time.
The pitch was up and driven out to deep right center field, and it is a one-hopper off the wall. Lane Thomas getting it back in quickly. The relay to the plate is not in time, and that makes it a 4-2 Nationals lead.
It's tough enough pitching in the big leagues, but when you throw 5 out of 6 strikes and you got a guy on first and you're down 1-0, oh, this stuff's going to happen right here. A nice job right here by Lane Thomas getting the ball in, and then a great relay to the plate, just unfortunately not in time.
Mendoza at second base. 4-2 our score. That pitch kept in front by Kisner. You can see the umpire there behind the pitcher, asking both the runner and playing up the middle of where he wants to be positioned. He is almost right behind. Yeah, the runner right there was almost right behind, directly behind the umpire, and he says, hey, do you want me to go a few steps to my left or right? You'll see that time and again.
Yeah, good umpires will do that. They're aware of their situation out there and where they're sitting. You definitely, as a hitter, don't want him on the other side, obviously in the arm slot of the pitcher. And then you got to look at the runner, you got to look at the shortstop, and you got to be aware of where your center fielder is too. That's Lance Barksdale, I think, out there at second base.
3-0 the count. Yep, there's Lance. Angel Hernandez, CB Buckner, 3-man crew.
Lance does a nice job.
And a breaking pitch taken a little bit high, and a 2-out walk. Runners at first and second. They're going to call the inning here. So that'll be it for Genesis Cabrera, and we will stretch. St. Louis Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. And by Great Southern Bank, understanding what really matters. And it's 4-2 Nationals as we move to the bottom of the 7th. And what really matters now is that we get some towels over to Jimmy's table.
Got to clean up on aisle 15 right now.
What you do?
I don't know. There's too many wires and too many cups of coffee and too many computers and monitors, and
Coffee went everywhere as Justin Williams.
it looked like my
Digs in.
computer was raining coffee. I don't think that's the way the computer was meant to be used.
No, sir.
Oh, there's a strike zone. Just save the power strip from shorting everything out in the studio.
0-2 pitch to Williams. And it's 1-2. Saw Justin Williams come up, make his first appearance for the Cardinals. Remember, he had 1 day of Major League time with Tampa Bay. And last year, he got his first ever big league hit. Taken high. Cardinals are certainly intrigued. You always hear the term exit velocity, launch angle, a couple of things that he can do well. It's a matter of being consistent. The 2-2 and a ground ball, backhanded, and there's one away. Good to be back, Jim Edmonds. We'll have the crew back with Erica and Jim Hayes, Brad Thompson, Rick Horton. Should be a lot of fun in 2021 with the addition of Arenado, Yadi, and Waino back. Looking forward to it. Austin Dean.
I think it's funny being around the city and people are asking me, why aren't they doing anything? And then within a week, it was like, we're going to win. All of a sudden, you have a new third baseman, your catcher, and your pitcher back, and now everyone's jumping up and down. So nice job by Mo.
Happened in about a 7 to 10 day period, and
after a little bit of a
quickly.
layoff. You need anything cleaned? I'm over here wiping everything down. The cleanest desk in the entire studio.
Connor Jones throwing in the Cardinal pen. Pitch taken low. Dean gave the Cardinals a little burst when he was brought up. He does have options. Last year his first in the Cardinal organization, but no stranger to Roger Dean after a few seasons with Miami. He's another one that's got a little pop in that bat too.
Pretty solid. Pretty solid individual. Number 0. Has anyone wore 0 since the late great, since Kerry Robinson?
There was.
He wore it for a year or so, didn't he?
He did. There was Omar Olivares, who had, I believe it was 00.
The late great. Sorry, Kerry. Still around?
He's among the living.
My desk is the late great desk.
You've created a mess, and we're not even through the first game. And usually for a guy like you, great athlete hands, it shouldn't happen like that. That happens to guys like me.
I don't have my setup here yet. I'm still feeling for how I need everything.
3-2 pitch to Dean. And he tied him up. The strikeout. And there's 2 away.
Hard to see what that was. Might just be a good running fastball right there. Funky.
Nolan Arenado. It is pronounced, by the way, Arenado. I am really intrigued with this guy at the plate. Lane Thomas, we later found out, and he was one of the players that dealt with COVID last year. And they didn't want to get into, too much about how each player reacted to it, but was mentioned about Thomas. He really struggled trying to come back from that. We saw that in the games that he played in. And the year before, Jimmy, when we saw him play and get a chance to play, he can create some things. Then he was hit on the wrist and his season was done.
Got hit on the wrist that one year. He had trouble diving in the outfield.
Yeah.
He came up short a couple times. People are asking questions.
And that's a fair ball. And he can run a bit. He's going to stop at first base here. And the tying run will come to the plate. We were doing a game, and I think you were with me, and the team was in Cincinnati, and he was in right field, and he misjudged a ball, and then there was a ball that was hit again to right, and you could just see he just almost was off balance, you know, didn't quite look right, and even at the plate wasn't comfortable. So it'd be nice to see him be healthy and see what he can do.
Yeah, you never know. Like, I feel like when guys get to the big leagues and they don't realize what it looks like from a distance, but when they're trying not to get hurt, you can just totally tell. And you can tell he was hurting and just trying to stay up there and trying not to get hurt further, and that's hard to do.
Little chopper hit to third, and Cardinals will strand a runner. And we played 7 in the first of 12 spring training games on Fox Sports Midwest. It's 4-2.
In the camp's going great, but it's the first time that in my 18 years in this organization that you haven't seen the rightful protection of our institutional knowledge, and our Hall of Famers just being present and being involved in camp. It's just a huge part of getting people to understand how to be good caretakers of the organization, and then also being able to learn from these guys. There's just a lot of people that care about this organization, and the organization cares about that. We want to get in front of our players and our staff to make sure that we continue to uphold what they built.
Was so well put there by Cardinals manager Mike Shildt, as they've tried to keep numbers of people literally down because of COVID-19 and separated, as we mentioned, the players are even from the current coaches, but it's guys like Bruce Sutter and Ozzie Smith and Jim Edmonds and Jason Isringhausen and Ryan Ludwig, and the list goes on and on. The Hall of Famers, Cardinal Hall of Famers, as Clough spins away from a pitch delivered by Connor Jones, who's the new pitcher in for St. Louis. But that is one of the great things about a Cardinal spring training, is going down there and the current players having the chance to pick the brain, if you will, of the guys that did it best. And that's the Hall of Famers.
Yeah, that's another guy right there. And I mean, players feed off of that stuff, and they're you know, it's hard not to go down there. It really is. I feel like I'm missing something.
You miss it?
Yeah, I do. And you know what? And to top that, to go to the next level, there's so many other people that come through there that are Hall of Famers in other sports, and heroes and people that we look up to and know from the sporting world that they're not getting a chance to get to know and get to talk to. And it's just, spring training for the Cardinals back in the day was just amazing. You know, guys like Bill Belichick in there, Bill Parcells and Ron Wolf, who ran the dynasty for the Packers, and just
Nick Faldo,
basketball coaches, and all the golfers come through there. I mean, they all live there now. It's just so much fun to learn and have little things of knowledge that they bring. And Mike brings in speakers, and Tony used to bring in speakers, and that really has really taken a back seat, obviously, because of the COVID. We were really missing a lot for these players. And gosh, it's just anything you can pick up to gain knowledge from in this game is definitely a benefit.
Connor Jones, 6'3", 220-pounder, pitched at Virginia. He was a second-round pick, 70th overall in 2016. Did not play last year. Has made it up to Springfield the year before. He started 43 of 62 games in his first 3 pro seasons. Then pitched primarily out of the bullpen in the Arizona Fall League. And that was through the end of the 2019 minor league season. What do you think it's going to be like for these minor leaguers? Connor Jones, position players, whatever, but having taken a year off and not being able to see these guys compete And what do you think that might be like now, trying to come back and be ready to go for a minor league season?
I can't even imagine, to be honest with you. I think that, you know, you can see the rust when you can just see guys from a distance that have been hurt for a full year, or, you know, say a guy who didn't sign right away out of high school or college and opted to wait it out and get more money, and you just get they're a step behind. Well, now you're taking the whole entire organization. So one good thing is everyone's going to be in the same spot, but you definitely have put careers. We've put some careers that could be on hold or in jeopardy with now taking a step where we have to relearn. And you're going to know who's been working out. That's for sure. You're going to know who's been hitting, who's been throwing, and who has been lifting weights and staying in shape, because those guys are going to stick out.
Yadiel Hernandez, and the 3-2 pitch from Connor Jones. It was interesting. I asked John Mozeliak about that, the president of baseball operations, and he said the one thing you have to understand is that this is their profession. They are pros, and yeah, the competition, that is missed. But by all accounts, and again, we don't know with everybody, but this is their job, to be in shape, to stay in shape, to be ready to go. So maybe that long layoff, while it may affect some more than others, we're going to find out. But, you know, it could be a factor with some, basically, he said, and others maybe not so much.
Well, they go back to even like people's preparation and people's off seasons. I mean, some people worked harder than others, and that's what I'm saying. It's going to definitely show when it comes time to play. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm always intrigued by all this stuff and see what player actually starts off hot, who looks like they can run, and who can't. And so if you're listening and you're getting ready for minor league camp, better step it up a notch.
Good pitch there. Got him on the 3-2. And the strikeout for Connor Jones. Jones did appear in one game at Memphis towards the end of that 2019 season. This is where these young guys, whether it's Connor Jones or some of the others, they can make that impression with a Mike Maddux. It might be just one appearance, but they say, I saw something there. And that's why you love to do these games, these spring training games, to see this.
Well, I think, too, you can make a good impression with how you work and your drills. And if you're not sticking out like a sore thumb from doing things wrong, and then you go out there and pitch and do a nice job.
Core 2 Nationals midway through 8. '21 season ticket plans are on sale now. You can choose from the full season, half season, 27 game options. All you have to do is visit Cardinals.com/season today. That opening day at the Great American Ballpark, my understanding is they're going to try to get 30% capacity at least for that opening day. But fans in the stands, no doubt. And hopefully as we go along throughout the summer, it opens up. Tyler Epler is the new pitcher. Big guy, 6'5", 230-pounder out of College Station, Texas. Home of the Aggies.
30%. I think that is a lot better than 0.
You bet.
But man, I know there's some people dying to watch baseball.
First pitch here in the bottom of the 8th is taken for a ball outside, and we're underway. Second plate appearance from Matt Caesar. Spent some time in Chicago and San Diego. And him out in front, and a ground ball that's pulled to third. One away.
Well, it's a perfect example of expecting a fastball and not getting it right there. This is just, I'm getting a fastball, I'm getting a fastball, I'm getting a fastball. Oh no, it's not a fastball. And what that does is that literally takes your eyes away from seeing the ball and how it's spinning, because you're just expecting a ball in a certain area and you're not reading the pitch as it's coming in.
And a ball outside to Nogowski. Young man that had to fight his way back to get into pro ball, was at independent baseball and then through the minor league system. Cardinals saw something, and here he is. 2 balls and no strikes. He's kind of the anti-modern day hitter, in which he puts the ball in play. He'll draw walks, doesn't strike out very much.
There's no place in this game for that anymore. OPS, getting on base, scoring runs. Come on. Stop messing around, Danny.
2 balls and 1 strike. Down and in, 3-1. Teams will get the regulars in the ball game, and then once they're out, they're told to go home. And he draws a walk. So Nogowski, the 1-out walk, and the tying run will come to the plate. We saw that last year where we would get text messages from players that were watching, starters starting pitching.
Watching in the dugout or in the
at the team hotel or back home.
I feel it's just that one guy who always keeps texting.
Big number 50 has a way of getting a hold of us.
You know he's always listening.
You bet. Here's Nolan Gorman. And this is what we're talking about. So a lot of strikeouts, but a lot of power.
And he's going to stop. The strikeouts will go away. You know, he'll cut those back. Especially, it's harder to hit in those places, in the lower A, the middle A. The guys don't throw strikes, and everyone's throwing 100 miles an hour as hard as they can, trying to impress. As you get to AA and AAA, you're seeing the ball over the zone more. You're getting pitches to hit. The breaking balls are for strikes. People are just wildly throwing over the ball over your head. It just changes, and you get more comfortable, and he'll stop striking out so much, and he'll become a better player as he gets older.
One of the things he told me at satellite camp is that he was using the virtual 3D goggles, and basically you can put in anybody you want to face. And so that camp had some of the top prospects or guys that went to Major League Baseball for the Cardinals, and he would put in some of the top lefties. And what it does, it's pitch recognition. So they would go to the ballpark, do their workouts, play simulated games, and then he would go back to the hotel and put on those glasses, and it's about the recognition of pitches. And he said he did it a lot, tried to do it a lot against lefties, because he said, you know, you think about late inning situations, lefty-lefty matchups, that kind of thing. He said Zach Thompson was one of the first guys that he put in there, which is one of the top young pitching prospects, not only for the Cardinals, but in all of baseball. Boy, is the game changed or what? Virtual 3D.
Only problem with that is you still have to hit it.
Yeah. That's hit out of play. But he did say, you know, it was very helpful when you're not in the competition of games, just, you know, something to try to recognize pitches a little bit in front of the plate, lay off the spin, look for fastballs. He said one of the guys that he put in immediately too was Blake Snell. And Snell was traded by Tampa Bay to San Diego along with Yu Darvish this past offseason. Yu Darvish coming from the Cubs and Snell from the Rays. The 2-2 pitch. We've seen that Gorman made a fantastic play defensively down at third earlier in this ball game. Grounded out his first time up. Runner at first, and the 3-2 pitch. Hit out of play. Imagine getting that news if you're Nolan Gorman, considered one of the best prospects in baseball. You're at third base, and they say, oh, by the way,
ouch,
we've traded for Nolan Arenado. But to his credit, he put on, I think it was Instagram, he said, does anybody have a second baseman's glove? Or can teach me second base?
I'll tell you right now, I'll be in Arenado's pocket if I'm him.
Yep.
For all of spring.
Tails back in, and it's taken for a ball. So runners at first and second. How about Nolan Arenado on his new teammate? Nolan Gorman.
You know, the first few days I was in the same group as him before camp started, so we got to know each other a little bit. We went golfing together and got to hang out, and obviously he's an extremely talented player with big power, and you know, I think he's going to help us win a lot of games. And you know, obviously that trade stuff is probably a tough, you know, probably a weird adjustment, but it seems like, you know, he isn't complaining. He's getting to work. He's working hard at second base and third base and everywhere. So I mean, he seems like he's all in, and he looks like he wants to contribute, and that's the kind of players you want on your team. So I believe he'll have an impact with us one day, and hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
Nolan Gorman, also one of the players that keeps a notebook of the pitchers that he faces, some of the notes that he was taught how to do this notebook to make it done very quickly. Sometimes he said to me it's 5 minutes, other times he said 25 minutes. It just depends on what's going on with the game, of writing down those notes and going back and looking at those notes. And he said, one of the things I'm going to do is take a lot of notes of watching the guy at third base. And the other thing that he got at satellite camp too, Jimmy, and again, no competition in terms of a meaningful game, but he worked every day with Jose Oquendo. And for fans that don't know, Jose went down to the satellite camp and worked with these players. And so it's one thing to play a individual position, but the footwork that you think about, that you have to learn to play the infield, and you got one of the best in Oquendo teaching you.
Think about Skip Schumacher.
Yeah.
I thought Skip Schumacher was probably the best fourth outfielder that I'd ever played with, as far as how he played the game, his arm, how good he was on defense, guy that you could trust at the plate, and all of a sudden you see him playing second base and staying around in the big leagues. So these guys can make transitions. It's not exactly what they want to do, but Skip had a pretty good career, and then he learned a lot, and now he's a coach. But I mean, you just got to take everything for what it's worth. There's the man Oquendo right there, and he is by far the best that I've ever been around as far as teaching these infielders.
Two of our favorites right there, Jose Oquendo and Willie McGee. Nothing into the count on Edmundo Sosa, and time is called. Tying runs at first and second. Go ahead run at the plate. And the 0-2 pitch. Time called again. The 1-2. Lifted in the air out to right field. Hernandez the catch, and there's two away.
Ball's definitely not going anywhere to right field, is it?
Nope. And the final hope here in this bottom of the eighth is Andrew Knizner. Kisner, ground ball, force play at second. And the 8th inning comes to a close. The Nationals have a lead. First game of spring, and it's 4-2. Budweiser plays of the game. How about the pitching for the Cardinals? It began with Jack Flaherty. It's pretty good velocity early on in the game. Saw John Gant. A couple of scoreless innings for Gant along the way. Genesis Cabrera gave up a run, but looked pretty good.
Gave up a run, but he threw a lot of strikes that were called balls. Gave up one big hit, but I think they all did a nice job today. I think it's a positive day. I think if you get a chance, if we get a chance, or anyone gets a chance to listen to what Mike Shildt has to say after the game, that there's going to be a lot of positive feedback. But he's all about getting your work in and move on to the next day.
Giovanni Gallegos, acquired from the Yankees along with Chasen Shreve for first baseman Luke Voit back in 2018, and Voit the home run champion of the American League a year ago. Last season, 16 appearances for Giovanni Gallegos. Had 4 saves, 15 innings. Opponents hit just 170 against him. Here's another one of those pitchers coming out of the pen that if they ease Jordan Hicks back, and by all accounts they would probably want to do that and will do that. Gallegos with closing experience and could be Cardinal closer at times this year. Been steady Eddie, hasn't he? Been very good.
Yes, he has, and he likes his Starbucks, by the way.
As we found out in Seattle. You said, is that one of our players? I said, that's Giovanni Gallegos, Jimmy.
Nobody knows. He was like 8-1 with a .6.
Came in, no one bothered him, got his Starbucks, and out the door. So there are the numbers for Giovanni last season in 16 games. But that nearly 13 strikeouts per 9. What do you see with it? Is he hiding the ball well? Is it his cutter, slider, curveball, whatever you want to call it?
I think that he hides the ball well. I think his ball jumps out of his hand. So basically the definition of that would be his 93 or 4, whatever it might be that day, might look a couple miles an hour harder. And that's when you don't pick up the ball. He has a nice, really smooth release point, but you can see his arm gets up kind of behind his head. And the other thing that he does really well is all of his pitches come out of that same slot. And he really doesn't have a breaking ball that jumps out of his hand that people can key off of. And so you can just see, unless he's flat and have dead arm, he's pretty dominant.
The 2-2. There it is.
Slider right there. You can't really see. You don't see any rotation in the hand at all. The ball doesn't have a lot of different spin. You see right here, everything comes out of that same slot up top, and then it just spins straight down. Nice and smooth. He's really done a really, really nice job since he's been here.
Four to 2 with 1 out here in the top of the 9th. And there's a strike by Giovanni Gallegos. Reminder, it's an off day tomorrow for the entire club. No game, no workout. And then back at it Tuesday at noon. We'll have that telecast for you here on Fox Sports Midwest.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, he hits a spot. You can see Kisner wanted it up there and got it.
I feel like you see a guy like this, too, is effortless. It's not really trying to do too much, and his stuff just plays with whatever he's got that day.
And the 0-2 pitch, they want to go elevated again and fouled back.
That was a nice job by Thomas right there, the hitter. He made an adjustment. He knows he's beat, and you cannot keep swinging hard. So you shorten up a little bit, and you can see he got a nice fastball that he could have tried to pummel, and he just shortened up a little bit, just try to put it in play. Going back to that slider.
The 0-2 pitch. You know, he is hitting exactly the spots that are being set up by Kisner.
Don't peak too early.
Yeah. Paints the outside corner with that strikeout. 2 away.
Not hitting that right there. He did a nice job. He threw the slider, didn't like it where he threw it, and so he doesn't want to throw him another fastball. He knows that he made the adjustment to shorten up on the fastball, so then he goes back to the big hook instead of the slider. It's a nice job right there.
So 2 outs and nobody on.
This would be nice to have weapons like that, huh? All 3 or 4 of them.
I was thinking too, you're talking about the pitching of Gallegos, but the weapons coming out of the bullpen. And we're getting a glimpse of that here in the first day of spring training games.
Mike's going all hands on deck.
Reyes, Gallegos, Cabrera, Gant. Here's a 1-0 pitch to Sanchez. Ground ball. Gobbled up by Sosa. And he makes the play. Bottom of the 9th rolls in when we come back in a 1-2-3 for Giovanni. Spring training coverage continues Tuesday afternoon. Cardinals face the Marlins. And it's brought to you by Mid-America Chevy. Cardinals and the Marlins Tuesday. Jimmy, you'll be with me. And we'll have baseball back on the air Tuesday at noon.
He's like one of the tallest right now. 6'9". 6'10". Yeah, he's up there.
Gabe Klobasits. I'm just going to be honest. That's my best guess.
That was pretty good, though. I like it.
Yeah.
So Justin Williams will lead it off. We'll see Austin Dean as well in the final hope for the Cardinals as we move to the home half of this 9th inning. And the first pitch swung on, and strike 1. That's it out of play. Cardinals and others had talked about this time last year with Williams kind of having a longer swing, Jimmy, and trying to shorten that a bit if they could.
Yeah, you can see he has that. And a lot of guys, the misconception of getting the ball in the air is leaning back. It's not how you get the ball in the air. Getting the ball in the air is hitting the bottom of the baseball. But you see a lot of guys like to lean back early, thinking they're going to try and lift. Well, that creates the same thing we were talking about with Josh Bell. It creates that loop, which is creating late contact, which is back in the back of the zone, which is literally foul balls to the left side, which is foul balls over the third base. So yeah, it's just young players, you know, they're still trying to learn their swings at different levels because every level is a different challenge and there's little adjustments you have to make. And like I said, you got to figure out how to get to the fastball on time without cheating so much that you can, you know, that you can't recognize other pitches.
Off the bag and barehanded. Oh, what a play at first base.
It's our play of the day right there.
Mendoza, terrific play up the first base line.
It's a heck of a play.
Sure is.
What are the chances of that not kicking that hard? Normally that ball hits the bag and just shoots towards second base. Ho-hum.
Well done. Here's Austin Dean with 1 out.
Get out.
It's a good eye right there.
Two balls and no strikes. So Don Mattingly, the manager of the year, will see him on Tuesday as the Marlins. They, along with the Cardinals, at one point shut down last year with COVID-19, and yet Donnie was able to get them into postseason play. Then they beat the Cubs in the playoffs. He did a tremendous job. National League East should be a very, very tough division this season. Mets have added Lindor. They've got one of the best pitchers in baseball in DeGrom. Noah Syndergaard should be coming back at some point. Atlanta re-signed Marcell Ozuna to a 4-year extension. They were 1 game away from the World Series. They were up 3-1 on the Dodgers as Dean slips and picks up a base hit. So the tying run will come to the plate. Here's our buddy Stubby Clapp, first base coach.
There he is. Does a really nice job with the infielders too. And you'd like to see him catch that ball if you're a pitcher.
Here's Elaine Thomas.
Good cat. This is the Marlin.
The 0-1. Marlins will play tomorrow. Roger Dean Stadium, and Sandy Alcantara will make that start. Fouled straight back. Foul him straight back. That means you're just about right on it.
Yes, sir. Good swing. It's a little bit off at the end, though.
One ball and 2 strikes. It backs up for a ball. It's 2-2.
It's a hard slider right there.
Hey, we're in our new studios here in St. Louis. Some nice digs.
It is. It's amazing. I've kind of broken in my side over here a little bit.
Obviously you have with that poured coffee.
My table is already a little bit darker than yours. Got a nice coffee shade.
Froze him. Good pitch. This froze him.
Big curveball. It's actually really not even a big curveball. The reason why that ball freezes you right there, there's no hump in that ball at all. Comes kind of straight out of his hand. Nice tall pitcher, and just kind of drops down in the strike zone.
So 2 outs. Max Moroff, the switch hitter. And the final hope for St. Louis.
Time to go, Danny. Look at
Yes,
those
sir.
clouds.
Dark clouds rolling in at Roger Dean. And the 0-1 pitch. Whacked out to right center, and that ball is down. Dean will stop at third and safe at second, taking a chance with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 9th and puts himself in scoring position. Max Moroff. The base hit could tie this game. That's a chancy play, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, you're being aggressive right here, and I think you look at the way these guys are running, you almost have to take 2, but that ball doesn't get deep the ball doesn't roll there, so the ball doesn't get as deep as you would actually expect it to be. And yeah, he's probably about to slide thinking, uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
This is Herrera, and he grounds it softly towards short under the glove. And this game is tied on the air at short, and it's 4-4. Put the ball in play, partner, and sometimes good things happen.
Not what you wanted as a hitter, but as a team, that's what you need.
Let's see if Moroff was able to make this a tougher play than it probably should have been. Waiting, maybe just a little bit.
No, he just came up.
Wow.
What's the old saying? Catch the ball first.
Yeah.
He was trying so hard to get that ball to first base in a hurry.
And now it's John Nogowski. Takes a pitch low. Jose Rondon is the pinch runner at first base, I believe. And that is correct. Jose Rondon at first base for Herrera. And the 1-1 pitch to Nogowski. Lined and caught. And we're going to assume that that's going to be it. And we'll play to a 4-4 tie to start 2021.
Nice job right there at the end, even just staying with it. Bottom of the 9th, don't need to be out there. Don't take the at-bats for granted, and scored a couple of runs.
And that'll be it, 4-4. Our final, back to wrap it up in a moment.
Still a traffic jam.